What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Black Men Unfiltered Network. Get your popcorn ready. Ladies, get your glass of wine together right now. Sip it, because we're about to take you on an emotional journey that you've never been on in your life. You're going to laugh, you're going to cry, you're going to be mad, you're going to be happy, you're going to agree, you're going to disagree, and that's what Black Men Unfiltered is about. We want all of you to have a voice, and this is the place where voices are heard. So thank you guys, because we're going to have the conversations that nobody else wants to have, and we're going to come to a medium, we're going to come to solutions, or we're going to agree to disagree, but you're in the right place to do it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I want to introduce you guys to all the shows that's on the network coming up on this next slide. Peace!
This is Security Boss. Listen, guys, I'm coming to you with something new and very exciting. It's called I Choose You. Yes, it's a new dating show, and we want all of you to get excited about it. Yes, it is a dating show. It's going to be a virtual dating show. We want all you bachelors and your bachelorettes to get excited about it. So stay tuned for I Choose You.
Driving around in California, looking for something to make me stay. Round and round forever searching for something that could never get replaced. Don't need you to save me, but I just really need to be saved. I'm just so sick of waiting for any luck to come my way. Yeah.
I don't mean to put it on your nose, but it's clear how my baby's running this the block cause you fear what you do to you if you get dirty hands and veneer. What you do, what she is, little boy, I tell you this. If baby won't sit, she can sit. If baby says lit, it's lit. Got your bank account and that cute. If she said it loud, it's the truth. If baby wanna ride, she can ride. If baby needs some time, she got time. Got your bank account and that cute. Make it count, how about you? She would put you in the bag, yeah. Wouldn't even need a planet. If she wanted, she a magnet. They should let her name a planet. Everything she drop like Corona, viral, make the world start over like I own her. She ain't about to set, but they really wanna throne her. Listen, she like bass, she like Hover. Self-employed, moving paper better than some Billy Boy. Made a choice on the regular, she bring a milli home. Click my phone, get my ass up, get a dinner going. Watch she out there, making sure that you all know. Baby won't sit, she can sit. Baby says lit, it's lit. Got your bank account and I cute. running with the fly. If you meet her, know it's true. So if she ever asks you, you know that baby wants shit she can.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Welcome to another episode of Unapologetic with Mandrell. All right, let's see what we got in the chat. All right, Black Man Unfiltered, he's here. Let's see, the beautiful and the best moderator on the planet, Jenny Morena. Oh, yes, and we have Von Bryant. Greetings, peace, and blessings to you, Von Bryant. Greetings, peace, and blessings to you. Positivity is definitely coming your way. Jenny Morena, positivity is definitely coming your way. Boss Lady Iris, good evening. How are you? Positivity is coming your way as well. WT Punk is this. What the punk is this? That's what it is. What's up? What's going on? And positivity is coming your way as well, sir. All right. Tonight, we have a very, very, very good episode, in my opinion, of course. All right. I mean, it might sound kind of narcissistic, but I do write all this myself. Actually, this show is unscripted. I have my notes here, but I also have a very special guest, a guest that people have been dying for me to have on my show. All right. I have no idea why. I really don't, to be honest with you. You people know that I'm going to be nothing with you if not honest. But we have a very special guest tonight, ETheManWilliams. Come on down. You're the next contestant on the Price is Right. What's going on, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
You doing good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I see. Ah, look at you. Look at your background. You got a green screen?
Nah, I just got a half a black screen, you know.
Just something to drink off so you can project it. Yeah, not a problem. Yeah. I mean, hey, it's an upgrade. Upgrade's an upgrade. I mean, can't really complain, bro. It looks good.
One step at a time. One step at a time.
Right. It looks good, man. I got mine from Amazon. Yeah. How you been? You been all right?
I've been doing pretty good, man. This is a great week, man. Getting ready to go into this holiday weekend, so trying to close up the week strong. You noticed the Easter coming out.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, never mind. We ain't signing. What's going on? Oh, look, E-Man. We have someone very special in the chat. Hola, Luke Hazley. I have to always acknowledge Luke Hazley. Luke Hazley was nice enough to come and support my show. I have to acknowledge her. You know what I mean? Jenny Morena, she's always here. Sir Hill Speaks is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. We ain't signing. He's here as well. All right. You know why we're here, E-Man?
We here so I can cook you up on your own show. That's what I was told.
You're not going to cook me up on this, man. I mean, there's no cooking to be had. All I do is bring facts. And so if you're going to cook anything, you're going to be cooking facts. I mean, trying to at least. But that's the thing about the truth, man. It doesn't care if you or I believe in it. Facts are facts. You know, you can try to argue all you want to, but I mean, to no avail. I don't bring nonsense. I don't bring opinions to my platform, to my show. I bring facts.
I actually believe that me and you're going to agree on this. Unless you're just delusional, I think we're going to agree on it.
I mean, with this subject, you have to be crazy. You know what I'm saying? To like, what are you thinking? This is going to be epic. Black Man Unfiltered says, Black Man Unfiltered, positivity is definitely coming your way. Canadian boy, Nigerian, thanks for coming out, brother. Positivity is coming your way as well. Luke Hazley, thank you for coming. Sincerely. And positivity is also coming your way. All right. Let's get to it, ETheManWilliams. We are here tonight to talk about slavery in modern day America. What do you think of that? Do you think it exists? Does it not exist? Is it true? Is it isn't true? Is it a conspiracy theory? What do you think? Tinfoil hat or not?
So I believe that slavery 100% exists today. It have not went nowhere. They just redressed it and made it totally different. But that is my initial stance, that slavery is still here. Maybe we don't see it as much in America, but slavery do exist still
No, I
in the
mean here
world.
in America.
Yes, yes,
Okay, you think
yes,
it's
slavery do exist today.
gotcha. I don't know what my producer's doing with the background and whatnot, but okay. But yes, yeah, I happen to agree with you on this one. You see, everyone thinks that you and I just disagree on everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Not
saying? Watch the
everything.
language, Black Man Unfiltered. Listen, Black Man Unfiltered positivity is coming your way. Okay, Yella, what you mean? Good luck? Oh, with what? All it brings are facts, brother. You can argue against facts all you want to. You're just going to be wrong. There's no two ways about that. Yellow, by the way, positivity is also coming your way. All right. Now, I happen to agree with you. Yeah, we don't disagree on everything, do we?
Not everything.
Right.
Just when it comes down to relationships and marriage and all the stuff that really matters in life, that's when we disagree.
No, and here's the thing. Not so much even there either. Where we the big picture, we actually agree. It's when we get down to the nuance and the little intricate details. That's where you and I start to go. I go here, you go there. I go up there, you go around the corner somewhere. You know what I mean? Like that's where we miss each other.
But I don't know. I don't know if we both agree what slavery is today. So I'm definitely looking forward to diving.
What do you think your slavery definition of slavery is? What do you say?
So I think a lot of us are slave to the bank. You know,
the bank.
The bank. The bank is a good example of a slave. I believe is the new slave master. For example, I'm about to explain. For example,
I mean, yeah, you got banks, Fortune 500s. I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that one.
So I believe that you are a slave to anyone that you owe debt to. So say, for example, if you have a mortgage of a home and you owe a bank $350,000, that is a form of slavery because you indebted to them and it's required for you to work for exchange for what they gave you.
Okay, so do you think that the country is indebted to me? So am I a slave master? I happen to think the country owes me a lot.
Well, no, because you negotiated a contract of what you were willing to do that for.
No, I ain't negotiate shit. They told me what I was gonna do. We negotiated nothing. Okay, and then the whole trope when they say people say, well, when you join the military, you know you go to war, you know what you're signing up for. Number one, people, that is one of the most insensitive things you can ever tell a service member or veteran. It is one of the most insensitive and insulting things you could ever say. Because as a person who served in battle and served this country honorably, I might add, no one knows what war is until you're in it. You can prepare all you want to, but you have no idea what you're preparing for until once you get in war, you're like, oh, this is what it is. You know what I mean? You're like, so all the training we did back home, that's just like for nothing. It's nothing like that. You know what I'm saying, man? It's like that's what I tell people. Look, no one knows what war is until you're in it. No one actually knows what slavery is until you're in it. Which is what we're gonna brings us to today. By the way, you had a very good
slavery is a choice. I'm kind of with my boy Kanye. I know you're against Kanye. Kanye said slavery is a choice. You choose to be a slave today, or you choose not to. So I definitely think it's a choice today. In the past, it was not a choice.
So have you chosen then to be a slave?
I believe when I decided I wanted to owe someone something for my house, I still own my house. I chose slavery. Yes.
Fascinating. Okay, moving along.
And also when I decided I wanted to enlist in the United States military, I also chose slavery in that point in time in my life too.
Yeah, but did you really have a choice though?
Yeah, I had a choice because I didn't have to go to the military. So when I went to that recruiter's office, I had a choice. I can go and be a regular civilian. Well, I don't want to use military talk. I can go and be a regular person, or I can be part of the military. So I chose slavery. in that moment, because in
So
the
you think that
military,
military? You think that you think you're in the impression that military service is a form of slavery?
yes, 100%. If you really, they own you. I remember people was getting Article 15s, or they was getting in trouble with the military because their skin was burned and they didn't put on suntan lotion. Like, they own your body, they own everything about you. It's actually the
Damage to
idea.
government property. Yeah, that is
You
that
are
is that. And audience, that actually is a thing. You go out there, like, you could get into a traffic collision, and the military can hold you responsible for damage of government property. That's actually the actual charge you'll be brought up on. He's not lying about that with the military. Hello,
so
Samantha Michelle. Yes, and positivity is coming your way. Princess K, Lesh's Journey. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the support. And positivity is also coming your way. Let me get to one of the topics here, man. I want to talk to you about this. Prison labor. You think that's slavery? Yeah or nay?
100%. 100%.
100% slavery?
I think, matter of fact, if you really study slavery, that was actually how they transitioned slavery from people that was just enslaved to the prison worker. It was literally transition within the
they just snatch up black people and just put them in jail. Hey, you're guilty of a crime. What crime? Don't worry about it. Just come with me. You know what I'm saying? They just snatch up black people. And then the people wonder how the black families got so disjointed. They would snatch us up. There were slaves in America in 1960. In fact, that was the last one. That's like the cherry on top of my notes. There were legit slaves in this 1960s. And if you tried to leave the plantation or the farm, they would go find you, bring you back to the farm in front of your family, and kill you. You know what I'm saying? In the 60s, 1960s. You know what I mean? So I'm like, it's like, okay. Yeah, all right. Prison labor, all right. Did you know that there are prisoners who get paid for, like, prisoners have the jobs, right? Janitors, they work the kitchens, making license plates, stuff like that. You know this.
Highways in Georgia.
Right. Some of them get paid for that.
Yeah, it's like 10 cents, right?
No, the average wage in prison is around 63 cents per hour. Oh God! Listen, this is painful for me to make my notes. I'll just take it at you, man. It wasn't easy for me to do this. I mean, normally I can type up my notes. I can do research in a day and type up notes in about an hour. You know what I'm saying, or less. But this is rough. I mean, the average wage for a prisoner is around 63 cents an hour. Now, E-Man. And check it out. The Omaha Correctional Facility Center inmates only make $2.25 a day. Now, E-Man, these prisoners are being paid for their labor. They receive a wage, a minuscule one, but a wage nonetheless. How is this slavery if they're being compensated for their for their labor? So,
if you really study the prison system, they wasn't paying them. And people was arguing that those people was being enslaved. So what they did is they said, okay, we will pay you something to prove that you actually get in a currency for it. So the only reason they get paid 63 cents today, and by the way, the prison system make millions of dollars off this free labor. Matter of fact, billions.
Yeah, let's be a little more accurate than that.
Your license plates in a lot of states are made by prisoners. So we do understand that how that system is designed. I will equip it. They give you food. If you look at slavery, they gave you a place to stay. They told you cannot leave, and they did pay those. So it's this misunderstanding that slaves did not get paid back in the day. But when
they got food, they had free lodging, they had commissary, you know what I'm saying? They were doing all right, the slaves. I mean, it wasn't so bad as long as you did what you were told, right?
I don't know about that now. I think that's definitely.
It wasn't so bad as long as you did what you were told. Yeah, I know, man. I mean,
your experience was based off your master.
It was whoever owned the plantation and whoever owned the set slave, set slave. Your experience is based on that. Some people were much more cruel than others.
if we understand where slavery came from, it actually came from indentured servants. And if you understand how indentured service works,
I think it's the other way around. The indentured service came from slavery because indentured servitude is what they used to justify slavery.
well, no,
I'm gonna get to that. Hey, right. I got something for that too. Something for that.
So first, so based off what I researched, and I did a quick research today. So they actually was indentured service. They forced them into slavery, and then they took them out of slavery back into indentured service. So it was a process. But this word indentured service, and we're about to start talking about some of y'all jobs, that kind of align with what we call slavery.
Absolutely, I agree.
So my question today, my question to you, how would you define slavery? Do you feel that slavery exists in today? Is it different or is it the same as it was, 100 years ago?
Oh, slavery is slavery is slavery. It's cruel, it's nasty, it's inhumane, right? This is coming from someone who's seen it live and in his face. Does it exist today? Yeah, including the United States, as you and I are going to cover tonight. Like you said, much like you said, I mean, a lot of times, you have different companies and organizations who try to cover it up by a different name and use different ways to justify it. Like this Yahoo in Louisiana. Yeah, Black Man Unfiltered. We're talking about your state, man. That is, in fact, man, that's what the next bullet point on my notes. This is where it gets ignorant. Okay, Louisiana. It gets ignorant here. Okay. At the Louisiana State Penitentiary, some take part in a prison rodeo where they play games like convict poker, where convicts can make like $200 for the day, as opposed to making 2 cents per hour working in the fields. Okay, now here's what convict poker is. I know that you're asking, audience, convict poker, what is that? I love that you asked. I love it. This is where they take prisoners, 6 of them, in fact, and they have them sitting at a table and they sit there to play poker, right? And then, E-Man, while they're playing poker, a wild bull is released into the pit with them. The bull selects one, or in most cases, all of them, to attack. If you survive, you get paid and you leave. If you don't, well, it's the other thing. People like, because I saw the $200 a day. I was like, okay. And the way the article was written was crazy because they led with the $200 as opposed to the 2 cents per hour working in the field. 2 cents. By the way, 2 cents per. Name of the prison is. Oh, he knows about it too. Look at him. Yeah, 2 cents per hour. That's slavery. Money or no, in my opinion, from my perspective, that's slavery, dude.
But the difference is,
you got people working in the fields 12 to 16 hours for 2 cents per hour.
But the difference is you're not born in prison. So back in the day, you was born into slavery and you didn't have a choice. Today, we have a choice whether we want to be a slave or we don't want to be a slave. So anybody who choose slavery today, they chose that. It wasn't just pushed upon them.
Well, it kind of is. We'll get to that. Well, don't worry. We'll get to it.
Okay.
We'll get to it. Like I said, that's the Feast de la Resistance. That's the cherry on top. When I saw that one, I was like, oh, God. Oh. I hope you all get hung in a tree by your toenails. It was crazy. Okay, now, check this out. Also in Louisiana, Black Men Unfiltered, pay attention. This is your state again. When the state started to release some of the inmates as a part of a prison reform program, okay, the Louisiana Sheriff, Steve Prater, complained that the state was releasing too many good inmate workers that they used to save money. They used to save money on things like car washes, changing oil, changing tires, and working the kitchens, etc. Janitorial services, like that. Yeah, he got up there and complained on television. I watched this interview, right? It wasn't even an interview. His guy stood up there and like actually petitioned to stop it. Like he tried to have it stop. So, I was like, wait. Yeah. So people in the audience, before we go any further, I'd like to know from you. Do you all think that slavery still exists? Give me a 1 for yes and a 2 for no. Number 1 for yes, number 2 for no.
So, but it's not the same slavery. I want to be completely transparent while you wait on that.
Oh, it's still here.
It is not the same, and that's what we disagree.
Man,
it is completely different. When I say it's completely different, I'm gonna wait till we get to the end. But I'm telling you,
it's yeah. I get what you're saying, but the other one that you're talking about, it's still here, bro. It's it's a trip too. You'll see. It's wild, man. Oh, and it happened in your home state of Georgia. Congratulations. That actually explains a lot, man.
I think it was a reason. Even today, I preach. It's a reason the slaves went to the north and the west. So I tell people to leave the South. I'm a big advocate of it.
And the thing is, in the North, and people think the North meant states like Michigan, Illinois, New York. No, actually, the North was Canada. That's how you got so many black people in Canada. You know, you had free slaves who had escaped. You know what I mean? That's why if you go there, Chicago River, you really can't drink the water in there anymore. There's still too many bodies still left in that river where people are trying to cross the river and they get gunned down. They're crossing the river into Canada. You know what I mean?
Well, when you really start studying like California and Oregon and Washington, those was like refugees for slaves, if you can make it, because
California was?
Yes.
We'll get to them momentarily. We'll get to them momentarily. Yeah. We'll get to California momentarily. Don't worry about it. Yeah, they're not innocent. Their hands aren't clean either. We're talking about modern day slavery. Their hands ain't clean either. All right. Now in Texas, Georgia, Arkansas, Alabama, check this out. Inmates are not paid at all. In fact, they're required to work under threat of disciplinary action. Now, this disciplinary action means isolation for months on end. You know what I'm saying? Name it. Any kind of disciplinary action they got there. I mean, you can even get more time for refusing to work for free. Yes, ass whoopings. That's right, Black Man Unfiltered. Ass whoopings. They will whoop you. Yes. Ass whoopings. Yeah. Yes.
That's 100%.
Georgia, oh my God, Georgia. But Georgia is all through this, I remember. And your state has the most egregious one yet. That explains a lot about you. You're from Georgia.
I am from Georgia.
Yeah, I'm so very sorry, man. I'm sorry.
You from Alabama, right?
I am. I'm not proud of it. I am not proud of it. In fact, dude, after I graduated university, graduate university, you got to move back home, find a job, things like that. So I'm back here. I'm like, okay, I got to get out of here. I can't do this, right? So then I joined the Army to leave home. So I was like, no, I'm done with this. I'm not coming back here. Why? You know, and so that's one reason why I joined the Army. Now the Army got me because they asked me, hey, you got a degree? Yeah. Can I go in as an officer? Well, you have to see what you score in the ASVAB. I said, okay, cool. When can we schedule ASVAB? Well, let's sit down and schedule something. He said, hey, you got student loans? I said, yeah, we'll pay them right on off for you, partner. I said, well, where do I sign, Sergeant? That's how they got me. They'll pay. They offered to pay off my student loans. That's how they got me. Like, he could have led with that. I would have signed up to do anything in the Army. You gonna pay off all that money? Yeah. Okay. Cool. And it amazes me how much student loans are going up since then. You know what I'm saying? I was there for like 4.5 years in university. I had like 17 grand worth of student loans. Mm-hmm. That was it. You know. Okay, here we go. Now everyone in the audience. Here's proof. Okay, the penal labor in the United States is explicitly allowed by the 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution. I'm sure most of the people in my audience know this because my audience is full of very, very well-educated people, all intellectuals. And it says here in the 13th Amendment reads, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crimes whereof a party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So it's saying that unless you've been convicted of a crime, a felony in this case, no one can be forced to work against their will. Georgia has a different opinion about that, by the way. Foreshadowing. Georgia felt differently than that. So I think it's crazy that in the Constitution, they it's like saying, okay, we're going to end slavery, but you know what I'm saying? They have a but there. We're going to end slavery, but, and it's just a cop out. Like they had to know that was going to go left. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no way. I mean, like, what do you think?
Well, no, I definitely think that yes. Anytime you put yourself in these type situations, you really gotta take what comes with it. And I really believe slavery is a choice. So if you do a crime in the state of Georgia, you know what comes with it after that. That's all I'm.
Well, I mean, some people don't have much of a choice when it comes to committing crime.
Oh, now I knew we wouldn't go past an hour without the cap. You have a choice whether you do the crime or not. You have a choice.
Yeah, but I mean, there's not much of one. I mean, your alternatives ain't no better.
No, it is a choice.
Alternatives ain't no better.
The alternative is better. You go, you get you 2 jobs, you work through the mud until you get your paper up, and then you find ways to educate yourself on how to invest.
Well, how am I gonna find my ways to educate myself, huh?
That's what they got. They got YouTube.
No,
they got
my mama pulled me out of school in the 8th grade.
See, but the thing about it is,
how am I gonna find ways to educate myself? You should talk to some of these teachers, bro. You should talk to some of these teachers, man. They got some stories about these parents out here who now. It's not always that person's fault, is what I'm saying. Now, everyone is ultimately responsible for their own actions. That you and I can agree on. However, the path that person was set on, it's like they were kind of doomed from very early on. You know what I mean?
The reason I disagree with that is because I look at my grandfather. My grandfather dropped out of school at, I think he was in 6th grade. He went to Job Corps. He got a trade. You know what I'm saying? He became one of the most successful people in our family. Like, it's so many different options. Everybody just want the easiest way. So you do have options. You don't have to sell drugs. You don't have to break the law. You are going to have to sacrifice a couple years of your life, and it's not going to be easy, but it is a different option in my opinion.
Well, my grandfather dropped out of school in the 3rd grade because he had to help his family work in the fields and whatnot. Okay. And he mastered quite a few skills, one of them being an auto mechanic and doing body work, you know what I'm saying? And he want to do all right for himself, but at the same time, I'm looking at past that because my granddad was born in like 1919. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So, or like 1910 or something like that. And so, yeah, he's pre-World War guy, you know what I mean? And I mean, so from his era, you fast forward on to say a guy from person born in like the 40s or 50s, or 40s or 30s, right? Like that generation, things were different. And then you look at the 80s, people who were teenagers in the 80s, things were different, man. Yeah, with each generation, things had changed. A lot of things changed.
You always had the option to work. Like the point is, so my grandfather would have been more like a 50, 60 babies. and he still had the option to go out and work. He was telling us a story with his first job. I think he was making $1.25. His dad got really sick. The reason he dropped out of school is because his dad got really sick and his mother couldn't work because of the disease she had. So yes, you slaving for little but nothing. But if you invest that money the correct way, you can get yourself
Who's
out of
going
that.
to teach you to invest it?
Well, so in his situation, he said that I think he said he was making $125 a month or something like that. It was like crazy, and he would send 100 away. He would keep 12, and he'll put away the other 12. So it really comes down
What did he
to
invest it? He actually invested his money?
well, I think he was just trying to first save it to be able to do something different because he was renting the room.
Right. You gotta understand,
And so-
man. You got kids raising themselves since the 80s. Now, I'm not talking about guys like that. I'm talking about like the majority of kids. You know what I'm saying? You got kids raising themselves, since the 70s, 80s, 90s. I say since the 70s. You've had kids raising themselves, no guidance, and it's just in terrible conditions, right? So it's like Lord of the Flies out there. And so talking about, they see kids on the corner who see an easy way to make money. They're selling drugs, right? So you take a little kid who sees him. Their parents aren't home. Their parents working 2 jobs. They're taking your advice, right? Which is the right advice. You should. I mean, if you got to work 2 jobs, go ahead and work 2 jobs. What's the problem, right? So it beats the alternative, which is selling drugs, which is what the kids should turn out doing, because that's their hero. That's the guy they see out there with the flash car and the Yale manners and the nice clothes and things like that. And the kid wants that. He looks at his house, his living situation. He lives in crap. And this kid's 7, 8 years old. And this guy on the corner is teaching that kid to trade. Your parents aren't home to teach you because they're out at work.
Well, that's why it's so important that we teach our kids not to try to keep up with the Joneses. Just because
Oh, bro, that don't work. You know that.
That does work. Oh,
they're children, man. They're children. They're gonna see things that they want, and they're gonna want what they want. You're a father, man. You know this.
Well, I think that's
you can do the best you can, but it doesn't stop them. Like, you do the best you can, you teach them. But those children, when they're away, they walk away from you. They live like, I still want it. Well, and so that's the thing, and that's the end. That's the end. That's why it's so important that you protect your children. You know what I mean? That's the end. That kid still has the desire to get that thing, even though you tell them just because that person has it doesn't mean it's for us. Doesn't mean you have to rush out and get what everyone else has. You teach.
Well, see, I think parents need to start telling different stories. So, say like for example, I should talk about the dope boys of my age, not the current dope, but hey, I see you looking at Little Rodney over there. Let me tell you about Little John. Little John was just like Little Rodney. And look, he's out there working for 25 cents an hour in the prison system now. A little day he got killed down the street right here on this block. We need to start telling them what's the results of those actions. And I think if your kids got any common sense, they'll make the right decision.
But you know what, though, E-Man? What do you do about the kids? And this is the vast majority of them in the hood, who their mothers encourage them to go out there and sell dope because it brings them money to the household.
Well,
what do we do about that?
Their parents is choosing slavery for them. So when they get locked up and they making 15 cents an hour, that was a failure.
Then the parents turn it back on them. Oh, well, shouldn't have got caught. Shouldn't have did it. Oh no, he shouldn't have did it.
Well, no, but
that's like for real, E-Man. In my research, that seems to be the general consensus amongst all those women who really like back that kid up. Go make that money. Go make the mother effing money. Blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? You better sell that stuff. And it's
my mom encouraged me to go make money, but she didn't encourage me to go sell drugs. She said, "Hey,
we ain't talking about your mama. Lovely, she sounds like a lovely woman, but we talking about we talking about day mama. You know what I'm saying?
I really think that on a weekend I used to make $1,500 just cutting grass. Like it's so many alternatives out there to selling.
There's no one to teach them that. And if you live in the projects, you don't cut grass.
You got to walk far enough to the suburbs.
Bro, the suburbs on the other side of town.
But I
can tell you about my city, right? There has never been a housing project anywhere near the suburbs ever. There's never been one. Okay, like every time, like there are two projects, three of them, that were like downtown somewhere. But even then, it's so segregated, man. Like it's way away from everything else except the police station and the county jailhouse. The county jailhouse and police station is right across the street.
You so right about that.
Right up across the street. It's right across. Look, it's so funny, bro. Like I should go down there and take a picture and send it to you. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, but the thing is, what I'm saying is, like kids like that, the options are limited. And while you're right, of course, where there are options. There are better alternatives, to try to make money as opposed to selling drugs and going out in the street doing something stupid. No one's teaching these kids this, though. No one's teaching them.
So, but we can say that you have common sense, and the people who sell drugs know that is wrong. So if you are put in prison for something that you know is wrong, you still chose slavery.
What about a guy after Katrina hit? Some people go into a grocery store, raid the grocery store for food. This guy got a wife and two kids. He goes out foraging for food, breaks into a grocery store. Say he gets caught and arrested. Is he a criminal?
Yes, he is. Because he could have went to go work at McDonald's. See,
this is after Katrina. All the devastation, and I'm talking about during that time. All the devastation and everything. The National Guard out there patrolling the place and the whole nine.
Well, people would see when Katrina happened, people wouldn't get locked up. They didn't have the prison to send them. So they were sending people to
they were locking people up, and they were shooting people too.
So what I'm saying is that outside of a big natural disaster, outside of Katrina, what I am stating is that if you make a decision that you're going to do
the
wrong,
crime, do the time, basically is what you're saying. Okay, so outside of a situation like Katrina, because if you put me in charge of that area like that, and I got to police that place, and I'm in charge, I'm like, okay, if they loot, let them loot.
Well, I think
shared anyway.
I think the best idea is we've seen a lot of this in Georgia. When Katrina happened, find a bus, go to a new city, and start over. We've seen a lot of Atlanta. If you really see the population of Atlanta,
that's your home, though, man.
Man, see, but that's what I'm saying. We keep trying to justify doing wrong. Leave. If it's underwater, it's like if my house is destroyed, it's underwater. It's time for me to go somewhere else.
Okay, here we go. We have a comment from Samantha Michelle. You can't expect for children to just automatically catch a clue on how to move in this world. And common sense ain't all that common. True. Common sense is not always common. And those children in the what I was talking about who grew up dirt poor, really poor, or in projects, Section 8, kids who grew up in that environment, they have different influences than you and me. I understood that growing up as a kid because that's the way my folks taught me. I was like, hey, listen, they're going to have different influences than you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up in the hood, yeah, but it wasn't the projects. You know what I'm saying? Far from it. I grew up in a house in an all-black neighborhood. And also at the same time, all that crazy stuff that you see in the news about that white media plastered about black people. I grew up in an all-black neighborhood, huge all-black neighborhood. I never saw any of that nonsense. So when white people talk to me, why do black people do this and why do they do that? I'm like, I don't know. Where did they do that at?
Well, I want to go back to Samantha's comment before we move to the next comment. The first thing I'm going to say is this right here. Even a child that's have a parent that is absent, if you talk about a absent parent in the household, they see a positive side and they see a negative side. They see the coach that's coaching football or the coach that's coaching basketball at the school that's doing the right thing, even though the pay is a lot smaller. So we still understand that at some point in time, they made a decision that they want to do wrong versus right. I think everybody know what wrong and right is and I don't give people excuse for that. But you are right
but
that we
at
got
the same time, these people got to eat, man.
They eat, man. The government taking care of all these people. People eating.
No, it ain't. No, it ain't.
We don't have people starving in the United States. Let's
Yes,
go ahead
we
and
do.
put this.
Yeah, we
Let me
do.
tell you why I say that.
Take a drive down. Take a drive just south of your state that you live in now in California. Bring up if Tommy B comes up here once we drop the link, have him tell you how Skid Row looking right now.
No, but see, the reason I'm saying that is because I see these food banks in Washington, right? I tell people that you can go to a food bank in every major city. It's a food bank typically, and you can go to these food banks and get canned foods. You can get bread. You can get all this kind of stuff. So these food banks are giving out these foods for people to eat. So in the United States, I believe there's no reason that you should be starving. Now, is it embarrassing? Do it look bad that you got to stand in a line for, 2 hours to get your food? But people are not just starving in the United States. I don't believe that.
Okay, we'll chalk that up to ignorance. It's just something you don't know, because there's some starving MFs out there, starving people out there, man. A lot of them. All right, Big Bad Bull says, is the drug game even like it was back in the 80s? I mean, aren't most people drinking scissor or popping prescription pills now? Is it possible that you guys are speaking based on 2 to 3 decades ago? Listen, Big Bad Bull. No. Crack is still a thing, albeit it's not nowhere near what it used to be. I'm with you on that, Big Bad Bull. Okay, yeah, these kids today, they on that other stuff. I don't even know what it is. Like they talk about popping X pills. What is X? I know it's called ecstasy, but I mean, I don't. Never mind. I don't know what it is. I don't want to try it, but yeah, Big Bad Bull does have a good case for that. So there's not even drugs in the community. It's just poor. You know what I'm saying? So they just all the option they have is to bust people over the heads or something. I don't know what they're doing. I know it's a lot of violence though. Next slide. Okay, go ahead.
I think what Big Bad Bull is saying, if I might be interpreting it wrong, is that I think we live in the age of opportunity. Anybody can make it today. If we look back at the 60s or the 50s, everybody could not make it. But now, especially if you got access to the internet, there's so many ways to make money today. So if you broke, is really because you choosing to be broke. It's not a lack of ignorance, in my opinion.
New Girl says Mandrell stop it. Ecstasy was our generation. Yeah, but I wasn't around for that. I mean, I was in the army. I was over in some desert or in some jungle, doing work. So yeah, children need guidance. That's why we have parents. That is so true, Samantha Michelle. But unfortunately, not all kids have parents. And the parents that they do have aren't always home because they have to work a job or they're off doing whatever. There are people out there, and far too many people who grow up without parents present. Unfortunately. Now, today, E-Man, you're right. There are tons of ways to make money. But if you see what the government's doing, they're balancing that out by eliminating the middle class. There's no middle class anymore, man. Forget it. It's done. It's a wrap. It's done. It's a wrap, man. You either become a millionaire or you're poor.
It's definitely a middle class, but I'll let you know.
No. It's a wrap for the middle class.
So let me ask you a question.
It's a wrap for the middle class.
So if it's a man that's making $100,000 a year,
that's not middle class.
What is that?
Middle class ain't $100,000.
No, I'm saying what a man that's making $100,000 is he upper class?
Yes, very much so.
So a single man that's making $80,000 is he upper class?
So what now?
So if you have a man that's making $80,000 a year and he's single, is he upper class or is he poor?
He's $80,000.
$80,000 a year.
You all right?
So that's middle class. Middle class is high. The middle class is high.
Look at this. Hink 75 says E-Man ain't living in reality. Hink, for the record, I happen to agree with you. Most of the time, this gentleman is not living in reality. I mean, bruh, I mean, there's far too much nuance to life for you to commit to some of the things you commit to. And honestly, that's why I said, like, most of the time, you and me, big picture stuff, we do agree. But when we get down to the nuance of it, that's where we start going left, right, and center.
I want to go back to Hank. So Hank, please tell me, what am I not living in reality about? Are you telling me, because he made this statement when I stated that anybody can go to a food bank and get food today?
The food banks be empty though.
No,
see, that's the thing. That's the thing. You know that those food banks are available. We know those food banks are available, but a lot of times, and this is what they got caught doing. They set them up, man, and they restock, and then all of a sudden, it's like weeks go by and there's nothing there before you get another shipment. Those things are just very poorly managed.
Well, let me kind of tell you how the food banks in Georgia work. So I used to work at a grocery store, and all the stuff that was expiring at a close date, they used to give to the food banks. So this is what I'm saying. If you hungry
so if you want people to eat expired food,
I said about to expire. They don't got a refrigerator. They got to eat that stuff within that day and come back the next day.
Yeah, no doubt. See, that's messed up. Let's get to this one. In California, remember the California wildfires back in like 2018, 2019? Yeah, in California, during the California wildfires in 2018, 11.62% of the firefighters were current inmates. A lot of them found firefighting very rewarding, and they would like to do it once they got out, right? Wouldn't mind. Unfortunately, California laws bar those with a criminal record from becoming licensed emergency responders. That's not just firefighters, that's EMTs, ambulance workers, cops, all that. Okay, and California is not the only state to do this. A bunch of states, in fact, almost all the states do that. So my thing is, once a person gets out of prison, when do they ever escape slavery? Because it seems like once they leave prison, the judicial system, you can't vote, can't buy a firearm, can't do shit. I mean, so it seems like the American judicial system leaves them with no option. You haven't been rehabilitated. You have no education. I mean, you have no other options. I mean, what is this?
Well,
I mean,
that's what Donald Trump actually was fighting for, people with felons to actually be able to vote. But let me address Negro.
Yeah, address Negro. What he says, Negro says, "E-man, stop it, bruh. You sound stupid. The black wealth rate has been the same forever. You ignorant to history."
So first of all,
Negro says everybody's ignorant to history, though. To be fair, E-man, he says everybody.
This comment, first of all, if you listen to what I was saying, I ain't gonna say nothing what he said. But the one thing that it is that black people are getting wealthier. When we start looking at the richer of the black people, they are way more wealthier than they was 100 years ago. So
of course, the same thing for white people and every other race.
But so that's what I'm saying is that the black wealth rate is increasing. Now you can say I can take all of them, but it is people in the black culture that is getting richer. And then Hank said this right here. He said that I said that there isn't any poor people. I never said that. I don't know where he got that statement from, but I never said that there's no poor people. What I said was the middle class have not went away. It's still a middle class people. Somebody who's making $80,000 and they're single, we can't say that they're poor. That's not poor in the United States. And they're definitely not upper class at that 75, 80,000 that would place them in the middle class. That's the point that I was making. I never said that poor people doesn't exist, but I do think if you're looking for a meal, there's a food bank that'll feed you.
A food bank that will feed you.
So yeah, so basically, I'm gonna address all y'all in these comments because y'all comments, y'all tripping.
You said there weren't any poor people.
Say it again.
Hank says you said there were no poor people.
I never said
about
that.
E-man.
First of all, I never said that there was no poor people. I
That's
believe
what he
that
said.
I don't know where he got that from. Maybe I don't know what he is. He must be. I don't know. Maybe you need. Hey, Hank, readjust your microphone. Maybe you heard something a little different. But no,
Yeah, Hank.
real talk. I'm not ignorant that it's not poor people out there. That is obvious that
You
it's
said
poor.
no one was going hungry.
No, that's the
You
difference.
did. No, you didn't say that.
Okay, that's two different. But Mandrell, you can tell that is two different statements. Nobody's going hungry, and there's no poor people. Are two totally different statements. What I'm saying, if you are hungry, it is a food bank locally in a major city that you can go and get food from. That's what I said.
Okay, now who's motivating kids who have to go to these food banks and get food? Who's motivating these kids to do their schoolwork?
Hopefully they teach it. That's their teacher job.
No, teachers don't care.
But that's what I'm saying is that we gotta at some point in time we gotta put responsibility on the people that's in these roles.
They have the responsibility.
So
I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, how would you do that?
So
and also, what do you think of this California situation? Okay,
so
now the prisoners need. Yeah, these people weren't paid nothing.
But then you got to ask yourself why these people are locked up. Now, I'm not saying that some people don't get locked up for no reason. That's not the point that I'm trying to make. But I'm saying is if a person consciously did a crime, kind of like your example, I am going to break the law and I'm going to sell the drugs, right? We can defend that weed is legal now, but we know it's a law and I'm going to break the law. And then they go to jail and they say, well, they shouldn't be treating me this way in jail. That is the terms of jail. We can't if you don't want to agree with the terms of jails, you don't go to jail.
Wow. Wait. Do you think we should change some of the way people are treated in jail?
Yeah, I think we should get more to, if you kind of really look at Europe's system, it's a real rehabilitating program that they try to push people through. If you look at certain countries, they figured it out. I'm not saying that our jail system is perfect, but I'm just saying that if you sign up to go to jail, you know what our jail system is currently.
Yeah, but this is a solution based. So I'm gonna get to you and see if we can come up with some solutions to this. This is insane. Check this out. All right, prisoners need money. Some of you out there in the audience may ask, why do prisoners need money? Well, prisoners need money for soap, food, women's personal hygiene products. Yes, because women have to buy those themselves, which is inhumane. And they have to pay a copay to see a doctor. What do you think of that, E-Man? Oh, yeah. And if you got a relative in jail, if you want to see the money, you have to use something called JPay, right? Clever name, right? JPay. You know it costs you $20 just to send them 50?
We gonna be talking about what it costs to call somebody while they in jail.
It costs you $20. You want to send that inmate $50. It costs you $20.
That's crazy.
Bruh. And then I'm not even gonna get into the whole thing with the calls. And the inmates that they want to call out somewhere, it costs them like $4 per call, right? But if you're only bringing in, say you work every day, you bring in about $54 a month. So you make one call, that's $4 out of your $54 that you made the whole month. $4 gone.
Yeah,
you gotta buy soap, you gotta buy underwear, all that stuff. You have to buy it yourself. The prison doesn't provide it for them anymore.
Well, I personally think if you look at the millions of dollars, so first of all, the government is paying for each prisoner that's locked up. So we know that is happening. So I think some of these things like soap, underwear, t-shirts, that should be provided to the prisoners. It should not be in a situation that they have to pay for those things. Now, when it comes down to like noodles, honey buns, now if you want anything extra, I do believe that you should have to pay for those things, but
those cost $5 a bag.
So it depends on where you at, man.
For them small ones, you know, the small little snack sizing, $5 a piece.
So
they getting me, man.
It's hard, man.
Man, they getting them. They getting them in there, man.
I really believe a lot of people who choose the life of crime either don't care about the situation in jail, or they just willing to deal with that kind of stuff.
No, I don't think that's the case. I'm gonna do a show on wrongful convictions.
So
hey, look, because I was doing some of that while researching for this one. I said, you know what, I'm gonna say that for a whole another show. I could do a whole show on that solo. Just reading the crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I really hope this brother call in.
Who?
Hink 75. I'm saying his name right here.
He bothering you?
I just hope he call in because everybody can eat. I'm just telling you, everybody can eat. We don't eat in these communities. We see overweight kids in these communities. Like, have we really forgot about? It's not because
they're eating a lot. It's because they're eating nothing but shit food and sugar.
Man, let me tell you how calories work. They're eating a lot. They're not.
Here's the thing: you got fat kids who eat very calorically dense food, and it's made with and the reason why is because that food is satiating. It makes you feel full, more full than you actually are, and it's chock full of high fructose corn syrup. They use high fructose corn syrup to fatten bulls. I mean, we're human beings. What do we think it's gonna do to us? You know, but I mean, you can't tell them anything. It's sweeter than sugar. It's cheaper than sugar, and that's why companies use it. And again, they've been using that stuff to fatten up bulls forever, since I was knee high to a fly's eye. When I get to my family's farm out there in Evergreen, Alabama, and yeah, they put in our food. They don't give a shit. You know. All right. I think we dropped the link. Y'all join in. But while you guys are joining in, I'm going to move on to the next one. Indentured servitude. Okay. Now, here in your home state where you were born, okay, again, this explains a lot about your personality, or you're so dismissive about the plight of the downtrodden hood recipients. All right. The oppression of our people. Why are you so dismissive about it? E-Man sounds like he lived that prison life. Hink 75, call in the show, man. Click the link. Click the link.
We just actually had some conversation. I say hit that link. I tell you straight up, get up here so we can have this conversation, because I think you mean you might be on the same path. You might just be misunderstanding what I'm saying. Hey, when you call in, bring that smoke. We want to hear that smoke. We want to just be respectful and stay on topic. So, Brittany, I see you in the chat. Hit that call-in link, because I believe people think that slavery have went away, Mandrell, and I don't. I think they still believe it. And
they think it's gone. But I mean, this one, check this out. Your home state. This explains a lot about your personality. This made a lot of sense to me. I think I finally understand ETheManWilliams after seeing this. Now, this information all came from a federal indictment that has been unsealed. Okay? An unsealed federal indictment. On South Florida farms, over 100 laborers who had been smuggled from Mexico and South America and Central America into a brutal and inhumane working conditions. Under the threat of gun violence, some were forced to dig for onions with their bare hands, earning only 26 per bucket harvested. Yes. At least 2 people died on the job. Another repeatedly raped. Great. Hey, Brittany. When they're not on the fields, even the workers were detained in camps surrounded by electrical fencing. That electric fence. Yeah.
Well, I
and,
do
and
what.
look, and where they were, like the buildings that they were in old, just with open raw sewage in it and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
And 24 of the accused members and associates of the criminal enterprise were charged with a slew of criminal charges, right? Now, this was done by two different companies, right? I didn't call their names here because I don't want to get the channel in any kind of legal trouble or anything like that, so I just left the names out, right? But there are two companies. They take these slaves and bounce them between each other. You know what I'm saying? They do that, and they were charged with including mail fraud conspiracy, forced labor conspiracy, money laundering conspiracy, witness tampering.
Can you be a slave if you're not a United States citizen?
Oh, no. We're not done. We're getting to that. Okay. Okay. They were unlawfully confiscated. They had unlawfully confiscated the workers' passports and documents. And the owners of the criminal enterprise would sponsor these workers under the H-2A visa work program. H-2A is a work visa, which means you got a social security number, right? Yeah, bro. It's not like these are just some illegals they brought over here and stuff like. No, they put these jokers through the system. like nah, they here legally. They got a green card, but they were just illegally confiscated. It's insane. Yeah. Your state. They do that. You got slaves, real ones today. You house them in electrical fences.
Well, hey, New Girl still. Hey, put New Girl chat up. He's still in the chat talking that junk.
He always does.
You want this smoke? Come on up here. Stop acting all scared in the chats.
Right, Marcus. And how do you feel about? Right, and Marcus, how do you feel about E-Man's home state doing this kind of thing to your people? Okay, you see that? You see him? He's oppressed you. He has oppressed your people. Come up here and give him a piece of your mind, Marcus. Problem Studies, how's it going? Positivity is coming your way. All right, everybody, we dropped the link.
Yeah, we got somebody in the back. You ready?
Oh, there we go. My man.
Man, my man. What's going on, fellas? I'm very, very disappointed in the E-Man.
How's that?
I mean,
I know you're right. Hey, I know where you're going with it, and I agree. I figured somebody in the chat was gonna come for him. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait on that, and that's why I moved it forward.
Yeah, he called me. He asked for me. I know E-Man's a fan of mine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm more than willing on sending my autograph if you like.
So let me ask you a question. So you believe that it is not places for people to be able to go find food at? Is that what you're saying?
No, I never said that. But well, you the one sit there said there's no people in. Did you even say America or just all across the world that are hungry? Is that what you said?
No, my statement was that if you are hungry, you can find places like food banks to find food. In America,
what if they don't have enough though? You don't think they ever run out? Well, you don't think everybody? I mean, if you have a bunch of people lined up, right? You don't think they run out of food? And in case you ever been in any of those situations, the women and kids eat first. They get to move up in line first. So if you're a man, you're in the back. So if there's more women and kids in their food, guess what? Somebody's gonna be asked out.
Well, so me working these places, what I have learned is that it's more food in Washington. I'm speaking for the state of Washington, right? It is more food than people.
But E-Man, you didn't say in the state of Washington, nobody's going hungry. You said nobody in America is going hungry. You said America, right?
You did say
I said in major cities, in every major city.
Now you change it up. Now you change it up. Come on, don't do that. Don't do that. You didn't say nothing about no major cities. Yeah, you said America, man.
Didn't I say major cities? I've been saying major cities.
America.
No,
ain't
listen,
nobody going hungry in America, man.
Now you saying in major cities. Now
listen,
you switching it up.
You got to take my whole statement. Hey, we gonna get a playback because if you take my whole statement, I'm telling you, need a playback on your show, brother.
And you need to run. You need to run for office too, man. Boy, you backpedaling, like a good old politician.
Put up New Grove's statement because he obviously heard the truth. My boy New Grove heard it. What I am saying is that when people are hungry, they need to get to places where food is at. For example, when we talk about like the cities like Atlanta, Tacoma, Seattle, these places. When I was working with the homeless here, we was trying to give people food, and people was too prideful to even take it. It's a level of pride with some of these people too that they say, we don't want.
Okay, cool. Now, what are you gonna do about the people who don't live anywhere near any of these food banks?
Major cities.
Well, I think that's when you got to make a decision. I got to go where the food is at. That's
or I can go in this corner for 2 hours and make $500.
But you look, first of all, you can't afford to live in your current residence. What makes you think they can afford to live in a major city?
Well, it's not even about what I'm saying is most of these people that are struggling can qualify for food stamps. Can we agree with that? Most of the people that are struggling, or no? Y'all think they can't qualify for food stamps?
There are a lot of people who fall right in between that sweet spot.
Yeah, you got a lot of what they call working poor people, man, where they make too much to get food stamps or government assistance. Now maybe they can get some government assistance, but they can't get all the government assistance like some other people can.
So what I'm saying is that it don't take a lot to feed you. When we talk about like a loaf of bread, we talk about some lunch meat. Now I'm not saying they're gonna be able to eat steak, lobsters, and shrimp. I don't think they're going hungry. When we say going hungry, I'm thinking about at the point of starvation. I don't think that's a problem in the United States. Starvation.
You know that's the reason why they open these food banks up, because a child starved to death. You realize that's where the whole food bank thing came from. The whole idea of the food bank came from a kid that starved to death.
Correct.
And they couldn't imagine that a child could go hungry and not have any food. That's how the food banks even got started, man, because somebody did starve to death.
Correct. I'm not saying that this wasn't a problem in the past. I'm talking about today. You're right. They started these food banks so people can eat. But even when you talk about a child in school, are we talking about kids that's not in school? Because the kids in school getting free lunch and they getting 2 meals. Oh, you telling me that the public school ain't feeding the kids either?
Absolutely. Listen, absolutely.
What about during the summertime? What about during the summertime when they're not in school?
Right. And I didn't qualify for free lunch. But at the same time, I mean, there was times when my parents just, hey, sorry, I forgot to give you your lunch money. You know what I'm saying? It was like $1.10,
but you wasn't starving
or whatever.
Based off the story you told us, you wasn't starving. Like
but at the same time, imagine someone who does. I'm putting myself in the shoes of a kid who isn't like that though.
Oh, man, you ain't
have the money.
Yeah, man, your ribs ain't never touched. I see.
I'm just saying, bro. I mean, and I was sports and everything too, man.
There's no way. Hungry. Your ribs ain't never touched you, man. Don't tell that lie.
Right. So my mother, if you really understand how I grew up in a single family home. There was a lot of days that my mother didn't qualify for food stamps, right? She didn't qualify for those things because she made more money. So
that's what we're talking about, though.
Listen, so I was instructed when I went to school, I was to eat breakfast and lunch. And then when we came home for dinner, my mom said, hey, we ain't gonna have no meat, but we can make you some rice and some corn and some hot sauce. Like I'm saying, it wasn't the greatest of meals growing up, but I still ate. When I think of starving, I think about near death.
You don't have breakfast at school, man?
Yeah, everybody. So you trying to say that?
No.
So you trying to say that y'all don't have breakfast at y'all school?
I don't know what they got now, but when I graduated in '96, high school in '96. I graduated.
Damn, you're old.
Shut up. I graduated university in 2000. My whole time in school, I never had breakfast in school, man. I gotta ask my sister's 6 years younger than me. I can ask her, but I don't remember there being a school breakfast.
So like I remember going to school And I used to ask all the kids for they used to have the graham crackers that you could eat with the milk. I used to ask people for their graham crackers and stuff. So I'm telling you, Joe, I understand that these people are not eating pleasurable meals. We didn't eat pleasurable meals. Like, we didn't eat shrimps, lobster, all that stuff. And it kind of irritated me because all the people that was on food stamps was eating like kings. And my mother worked, 60 hours a week, and we was eating scraps. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that we wasn't starving. I don't think it's people out there just starving and they don't have any access to food. I think that narrative is in the United States.
Hey, man, I just gave you an example of what I told you, man, at the food banks here in Kentucky, in the major city of Louisville, where the women and the children eat first. If they would, especially during COVID, they was running out of food because a lot of people was donating food because they just didn't have it. You understand what I'm saying? People lost jobs. Guess what? People was going hungry during COVID. People was going hungry during COVID because
especially those mom and pop shops were getting shut down.
Companies got shut down. People had to lay off because there wasn't no businesses really popping and things wasn't happening like it should. So guess what? Now people end up going homeless. People end up getting kicked out because they couldn't pay their rent. Even though they passed some laws and talking about you can't evict them, doesn't mean some of them landlords didn't. So guess what they end up doing? They end up on the street, homeless, hungry, without.
And with news cameras watching them kick people out while that mandate was in effect. Where you don't kick people out, the amnesty to keep people.
It happened all over California.
All over California, all over the country. The news cameras watching them doing it, and the landlords did not care. It was illegal for them to keep them out.
I'm going through the court procedures right now trying to get my money from a couple of my tenants. Right now, I'm going through the court system right now trying to get my money from some tenants because I didn't kick them out. I could have been cold-hearted and put their ass out on them streets, but I didn't. You understand? Because I had some sympathy for their ass. And now I'm starting to regret.
So no. So I made it clear earlier, like when we talk about Katrina.
I feel you, Hank.
Hello. We talk about Katrina.
But God bless you, Hank. God bless you, Hank.
Man.
So when we talk about
what you did, and with this situation, I feel you.
So when we talk about Katrina, when we talk about COVID, when we talk about natural disasters that's happening, I agree that those are one-offs, right? Those type situations are one-offs and that happen. But I'm saying if America was running as a normal society, you would be able to find food.
Can you define a normal society, man?
Yeah,
that could be vague.
And also tell us where to find the food.
What I'm saying that you can find food is that is food banks that you can go to, is food stamps that you can get qualified for.
You don't qualify for the food stamps.
Well, if you don't qualify for the food stamp, that means that you have enough money coming in to go get you a loaf of bread for $1.
E-man.
Do you understand, email, the cost of living, cost of bills, and cost of rent,
transportation,
transportation, insurance, all this stuff comes into fruition. Well, let me answer your question. Let me answer your point. Because obviously, my father, who was, yes, he was an illegal immigrant, but he wasn't a person that was committing crimes, isn't a gangbanger or even a drug dealer, but he was a guy that started his own blue collar business. We were living in Northern California, where everything is triple than what it is in Southern California, where we live right now, and everything was to the roof. A studio and apartment could be paying like $2,000 a month just for a studio or a 1-bedroom apartment, paying over $2,000. When you move down here to Southern California, you see the cost, the demand for the renting. It was so low because it was affordable. See, and my father he could only make a certain amount, and even if he could file, they would still cut him off because you could still be on the low economic tax bracket, and you still wouldn't qualify for on the food stamps because you have to make a certain less under amount, and you could be on the low economic tax bracket.
So basically, you said, if I heard you correct, your father was not in the United States legally. Is that what you said, or that's not what you said?
Not anymore. He's back in Mexico.
All right. So no, I get it. So what I'm saying is, when I'm making these statements, I'm talking about citizens of the United States, right? These people. So yes, I can see if somebody can't qualify for these things because they're not right on paper. I understand that, but the whole point that I was making is I was addressing like American citizens because we was talking about America. Did that make
This man
sense?
said you ain't right on paper.
But I'm an American citizen. My mom's an American citizen. You know what I'm saying?
So-
And my sister who was deaf and mute, who was disabled, like they have a lot of communities like that struggle. That isn't just Latino. They have black people. You have some white people.
So are you saying that you miss meals growing up, like you didn't eat? It's just days you went without eating.
There were some times where the light was cut off. There were times where water was cut off. There was times where my dad, he was struggling. He couldn't really make anything. He couldn't get anything. So, you know, that happened when I was little for a bit. But you know, it didn't happen all the time. But it happened every now and then. But you know, I'm not gonna sit here and cry about it. But at the same time, I'm answering your point.
But that's not the question I asked. Are you saying that it was times that you went weeks without eating?
No, I'm not going to say we went weeks without
No one
eating.
can go weeks without eating, you man.
Because you could die.
Here's the thing. That speaks to this comment here. She says, Samantha Michelle says, y'all right. E-Man ain't living in reality. Keyword y'all. That means there's more than one person out there saying this, E-Man. Von Bryant says the same thing I said earlier. I wish E-Man could see Skid Row right now here. YouTube, it's a whole other world. YouTube, it's a whole other world. Yeah, Skid Row, bro. If Tommy B was in the chat, he'd tell you about Skid Row, man.
You don't know about that struggle, man. That's all right, though. That's a beautiful thing. If you never had to deal with the struggle, I tell you, man, don't walk down that street.
Count your blessings, like,
you know what I'm saying? Because hey, when you talk about somebody who didn't have, that was me. I remember we had to turn our oven on to keep our house warm.
That's it.
You know, we didn't have no power. We didn't have no power, and I try to blame it on the storm when our power went out. Everybody's power's on the whole block, but ours.
But y'all's, yeah. And see, the thing is, I never had to go through that, but my parents used to do stuff to me to make me understand that kind of struggle, you know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of stuff my dad and mom went through. And that's kind of stuff my dad and mom went through, right? So they'd like take me to the projects. Like if I wanted to play football, they took me to the projects to play football for a team out there until I got to like junior high, right? Because Pop Warner League, you know. When I started boxing, they took me to the projects, to the roughest one out there my mama took me to and made me go at it with throw hands with them. Like, and then I, you know, from talking to those kids, and they're telling me, you know, how they live and grow up. It's like, damn, you know what I'm saying? As a kid, it hit me like that. As a kid, I'm like, even then, I'm like, yo, really? But see, I had good parents. My parents made sure my sister and I didn't go without food because they went without food, and they tell us about this stuff, and so made sure we were able to empathize with people, and they never let us forget it. You know what I'm saying? Because they always remind us at any given time, life can take a turn, and you would be worse than them. You ever talk about somebody? Don't ever. That's what it told us. Never talk about people, nor their plot in life, because that could be yours in 2 seconds. Then what you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Right. And so, like, my parents used to do all kinds of. Plus, I was the firstborn and the only boy. Yeah, my folks was gonna. They was hell bent on raising a man. Hell bent on it, and they told me to my face, "You would know. You were gonna be a man, even if you grew up to not be one. You knew how to be one. We're gonna make sure you knew how to."
I want to just.
And amen. I'm just saying, you sound rather. You sound like you have a lack of empathy here. Just saying, man. Like,
can I just add something real quick?
The whole do the crime, do the time thing, and like it's way more nuanced than that.
I'm gonna just add this real quick, right before E-Man spits. But the same thing that Emmanuel just said about the first person to be a man stuff. I was the first person in my immediate family to graduate high school because my parents neither of them graduated high school. My mother was an American citizen, but she was raised in Mexico. My father was raised in Mexico. The bad times, like in the 80s and the 70s over there. And on top of that, I was the first one to graduate high school. I was an American-born citizen. You know, I was born in Hemet, California, ranch life. And guess what, too? I also was the first person to go and the only one to go to the military, become something, survive the military, make it out of there, come back, go to college and graduate from college. Nobody else in my family did that. Not even my little sister didn't even do that. And so that's what taught me, because it taught me that the struggle was real.
And even though I made it, that doesn't mean other people can make it or will make it.
Nice. All right, let's get some of these comments. New Girl says, I remember burning candles because the lights were off. Yeah. Brianna E says, God bless everyone who grew up in survival mode. Jenny Morena. Here's another thing, Hank. My mama and my dad used to cook shit that they grew up eating. Not the real nasty shit like chitlins. I never had chitlins. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I had oxtail. I've eaten oxtails and stuff. I mean, I cook them now. You know what I'm saying? So survival lessons that they learn, they made sure me and my sister learned them and shit like this. Jenna Marina says, I ate syrup sandwiches. I have too. Rice with eggs. Yep. I remember that for breakfast. Porridge, never had. Cream of wheat. Yeah. I've had cream of wheat to keep full. Now, all of these, a bunch of carbs. Again, carbs are satiating. They make you feel full, keep your stomach from growling. And that's why food like that is cheap, it's easy to get to, and you can spread it a long way. You know what I'm saying? But
makes you fat too.
Carton of eggs, $5, man.
Now we look here. We have powdered eggs.
$5, man.
Mandrell, we have powdered eggs. Our eggs is powdered with powdered milk.
Oh yeah, man.
And corn checks in the white box, and the peanut butter and the peanut butter was in a can.
Yeah, and it had that oil on top.
You had to peel it back.
Yeah, and it had
and
that
put
oil
the plastic top on it. Oh, come on, man.
Right, you remember they had that oil, that big thick layer of oil on top of it.
See,
my grandma used to get that stuff. Man.
E-Man don't know about that government cheese. You had to cut with a damn big ass butcher knife. And you had to take two hands to push down because the cheese was so goddamn thick. You don't know about that. But they made some hell of a grilled cheese sandwich. Yeah, I tell you that.
Luke Casey says, hold on a second, E-Man. Let me get to the chat. Luke Casey says, in Venezuela, we were lucky. Oh, Luke Casey from Venezuela? All right. In Venezuela, we were lucky if we could take a shower without the water being shut off for no reason.
Dang.
We would have to go to a well and get water and wash off. Wow.
That's some hard times right there.
Yeah. E-Man, what were you saying? Sorry you had to go through that, Luke Casey.
So what I was saying is that, like, I remember, I don't know if y'all remember in the grocery stores where if the can was in it, you get it for a discount, or the vegetables in the can, like the green beans in the can. So like I said, I remember slamming cans in the back to get the dent in it so I can get a discount. So I'm not saying that it wasn't hard. Hard and starving is two different platforms. That's the point that I'm saying. Even if you eating government cheese, if you eating the peanut butter with the oil on top of it, you are still eating. We mostly see starving in other countries, not the United States, is the point that I'm making.
What happened to you as a child?
Man,
because you do sound like one of them Republicans, bro.
You giving off that Uncle Ruckus vibe, baby. I'm telling you, that's what you sounding like. Man, don't be like Eddie. Come on back home. I know you forgot, but come on back home.
Negro says, "What y'all know about them powdered eggs and government cheese?"
Man, that's
a big container that just said pork.
Just with a pig on it.
He said it made him a vegan to this day.
Man, that shit wasn't nothing healthy about them. I'm telling you. That's how bad it was. If you look at the powdered milk on the back of its instruction, how to make sugar cookies. That was the only way we were gonna get something sweet. Make some sugar cookies with some powdered milk. It's how my mama did us. She bought 1 gallon of milk. That 1 gallon of milk lasted a month. You know why? Because she kept putting that powdered milk and water in the same
carton.
And you know, in that time, I wasn't looking at the dates. I thought that was just serial numbers. I didn't know there was expiration date. Yeah, I didn't know nothing about that. I just know we had milk in the refrigerator. I was content with that. But that's poor people shit. I'm sorry. I didn't really tell my truth.
Saying, like my parents used to cook that kind of food. Like, the health, the stuff that ain't that bad. They cook for me and my sister they was like, listen, and plus I come from a working class family. We weren't upper class or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? We were working class, so again, I had to work. 12 years old. Daddy, can I have an allowance? Because I all black neighborhood, but I went to school with white kids, right? So my dad's like, an allowance? Yeah. Wait right here. He gets in his car, goes and leaves, right? He comes back with a gas can full of gas. And I hear him go in the storage room. His truck pulled out the lawnmower and said, all right, I'm going to take this gas can and lawnmower, go down the street, look at anybody's yard who need to be cut, tell them you cut their yard. 5 for the front, 5 for the back. You know what I'm saying? He said,
Mandrell,
there's your allowance.
My daddy said, you get your allowance when you come to the kitchen table.
You're right. I'm allowing you to eat. So,
I'm gonna add this too. Hey, I see poor people that live in the desert. I see poor people that live in the desert on a big ass, hot ass rock when the sun's hitting it. They put an egg on that. Yeah, that's their skillet.
That's their skillet. Yeah, I've seen that. You're talking about the Hajis? I mean, some of the locals over there.
Damn.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen it. It is that hot.
I even see it on the border. I even see it on the border in hot places by Mexico with California, in the middle of nowhere.
Jenny Miranda says, I'm from an immigrant family. Both parents had 2 jobs. Latchkey kids. Latchkey kids. Hey, Genesis. Hey, y'all. Yeah, I'm just saying, E-Man.
So my question
it does sound like me personally. Again, there'll be times where, I mean, it's on nobody's mind when we wake up in the morning. Oh, I need lunch money. It's not, and it's one of those things. I'm a kid. It doesn't hit me until I'm at school. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh man, I forgot my lunch money. You know, but if I forget my lunch money again, I'm an athlete. I'm gonna be hungry. I'm working out all the time.
Well, that proves.
So that much right there, just that little bit right there of skipping lunch for me, and I didn't really eat breakfast, so I didn't eat breakfast. So, me eating breakfast before school was something that was super, super rare. I think I did it once every 7 years or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't eat lunch. I didn't eat breakfast. The only meal I had was like after school.
But that proved. But you just proved.
That's hungry, man. I mean.
But no, you proved that you wasn't starving because a kid that was starving ain't gonna get the lunch movie.
I'm not. Hey, you never heard me come in here, Captain, pretend like I had it so hard.
I got a question for the whole panel. So, what percentage of America do y'all believe is out there starving that doesn't qualify for food stamps, and but they make too much money? So, what percentage of America do y'all believe is out there starving?
Hey, Genesis, do me a favor and hey, Genesis, how you doing?
Hey,
Canadian boy Nigerian, how you doing? Thanks for coming up. Could one of you do me a favor and mute your YouTube? Got it?
Yeah, you hear me?
I can hear you. Speak for it.
I had to turn off. I had the YouTube going on the other tab, but I got it.
Jump here to us. It sounds to me like E-Man is one of the number one, cast the first stone. Number two, my man over there said his ribs ain't never touched. That's the way it sounds. What say you, Genesis? Do you think that slavery still exists? I don't know how much of the broadcast you caught tonight.
I just came in.
Oh, you just came in? Yeah, you missed some pretty good stuff. I showed E-Man.
I'm gonna catch the replay.
Yeah, I showed E-Man about how his home state of Georgia, actually does have real live, no kidding slaves cooped up in an electric fence, behind an electric fence.
Wait, is that the story that I heard something about like a couple weeks they got exposed?
This has been going on for years.
No, I'm saying they were talking about, I forget where they were working.
Oh, Von Bryan says 13.8 million are starving. I say that's 13.82 million.
So wait, the whole slavery thing, like,
oh, this is recent with the electric fence and them making them paying them 20 cents per bucket of onions that they harvest.
Is this what they're doing with the immigrants?
Yeah, but they are legal because they are here under the H-2A visa.
Okay. But to answer your question, I do think that slavery exists. I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it. I think some of these mail order bride situations. I think some of those, that's what they're intended.
You talking about the human trafficking part?
Not necessarily the human trafficking part, but the human trafficking part as well. But no, there are some men that are doing, or I've heard, doing the mail order brides, and the mail order bride is essentially a female slave. She's here just to serve them, not necessarily with the intent of being a wife in the traditional sense.
Oh, so she's here just to entertain the guy.
Hey, I think that's what Mitch. Ain't that what Mitch McConnell has?
I don't
Probably.
know.
I mean, you know, I don't know.
They just do whatever, you know. They
Shout
just
out to my state representative.
They just
listen. I mean, my thing is this. I mean, if y'all, I'm going to do a show called speaking of politics, I'm going to do a show called The Conservative Conundrum. All right. Because black people love to hate on conservatives. I myself am not a conservative. I'm neither a Democrat either. But I do know that black people agree with more conservative policies than they do Democrats. And when you look at just policy for pound, policy for policy, black people largely agree with the conservatives. And it's like, I'm like, okay, that's what brought me to this question. Like, okay, what made us deviate from that then? You know what I'm saying? So I'll bring us when I do that show, I'll bring us some points and stuff like that where I pointed out like, okay, this area, that's something that made us go away. You know what I'm saying? This one, that made us go over there. And I say the Democrats are doing the same thing today, making us deviate. But the problem is we can't go Republican. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we kind of left with nothing here.
So Genesis, I can ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
So I made a statement earlier, and what I was saying was that I believe that people are not starving in the United States. I feel like between food banks, food stamps, and all these different places that you can go, if you choose, and I think if you're prideful, you can starve. Do you believe that it's just people, especially in these major cities?
You might have an ally here with Genesis.
There are absolutely people that are starving.
Oh, wait a minute, hold up.
There are absolutely.
My question.
Yeah, but
Mandrell,
did you know?
Did you say that?
There are actually people that are starving. Yeah.
Talk to him, Genesis. Talk to him, Genesis.
Mandrell, did you know he went back to the USA now? First it was major experience. Now it's back to USA now. Come on. Man, come on, man. Boy, I tell you,
413.
You gonna find
Genesis agree on something.
Wait, he said he didn't finish his question.
Okay,
yeah.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't finish it. Mandrell jumped in when I was saying it. So, basically, they finished what I was saying is, do you believe that it is places, especially when we talk about major cities, for these people to go to, or you feel like it's just not enough food for these people, to be honest?
I'm going to tell you what I know of. You all know I live just outside of Chicago. There are people. Oh, thank you, black man. There are children that are in CPS that are, those kids come to school. They have lunch. Some of them eat breakfast at school. They have lunch at school. And then after school, they get sent home with a bag lunch so that they have dinner that night. And then the next meal that they get is when they return to school the next morning for breakfast.
And so, but if they're getting 3 meals a day, are you saying
all those meals?
They're getting 3 meals a day, but those 3 meals are being provided by the school essentially, because when they get home, there's nothing at home.
But I didn't. I'm not making.
What is Daddy eating?
They're not concerned with what, and I don't know if the kids are sharing with the rest of the family or not. But what they get isn't enough to share with the family. I know that.
That's pitiful.
I also remember volunteering for a homeless shelter for about like 50 hours. I volunteered just to see an experience. I was doing a documentary with some people for a project. But I remember seeing like sometimes the food they serve in these homeless shelters the food isn't really always up to par, and it's either expired or already past expiration date.
Yeah.
And you know, we make the best of it. We try to find as much as we can to feed them, because it's like the shelter that I was at, it was like a couple hundred people that were there, and there were children there, there were babies, there were single mothers, single fathers, elderly, just struggling to get a plate.
Well,
yeah, I came in contact with a gentleman who is now, you know, he's doing fairly well for himself now, but he was in the system, you know, I think until he aged out, and then I can't remember. I think he was a foster kid or something like that. It didn't work out. He went through several homes. He aged out of the system, and then he said he was homeless, but he was still, you know, a teenager. As the teenager, he was telling stories of how he ate out of garbage cans to survive.
Yeah. I mean, you should have some of the stories of the kids that yeah, you're right.
I mean, E-Man, does that sound like a person's too prideful to go get some food at a food shelter if he's eating out of trash can? I mean, it don't to me. I don't know.
Food banks ain't everywhere, man.
Yeah,
there's a lot of places where food banks are needed, and they're just not there.
I live in the suburbs, so you know, it's not rural, but we don't have things that are accessible, kind of like, you know, in an urban area. And in the suburbs, you know, people think that poverty doesn't exist, and it actually does. There aren't a lot of resources there. We have food pantries, but of course it's limited supply. And if you don't have transportation, then, you know, how do you get to those places?
Come on, man. I just said that. I said that to E-Man. E-Man still don't believe ain't nobody in America going hungry.
No,
ladies and gentlemen of the chat, and for those viewing later on, let me introduce two people. Mr. We Ain't Signing and my boy Tommy B, here to tell E-Man about Skid Row and how that looks. Now, people, we're here talking about slavery in modern day. Now, like I said earlier, the average pay for an inmate is 63 cents per hour. Okay. In Louisiana, here's where it got ignorant. In Louisiana state penitentiaries, some of the prisoners take part in what's called prison rodeos, where they play games in like convict poker, where they can make up to $200 in a day, as opposed to 2 cents per hour working in the fields. Okay, now what is inmate poker, you might ask? That's when they set up a table that seats 6. They sit there with the cards, and they're in this big pen, right? And the gate opens while they're sitting there playing poker, and the bull comes in. And the bulls, you know, they've already been back there stabbing the bull and stuff like that, pissing it off. So it comes in and it picks one of them, maybe all of them, and starts tossing them around and doing, you know, doing what bulls do. You know what I'm saying? And if they make it out alive, they get the $200, or they have to stay there for a certain amount of time, and if they make it throughout the time, they get the $200. If they don't, well, you know, let's just assume they got the other thing, you know, from the bull.
They're running from the bull?
No, they must sit there in the table and let the bull do its thing. They must sit there at the table and play poker and ignore the bull. And if the bull just comes and tosses them up in the air, it tosses them up in the air. And there's videos of this bull just with a horn scoop one dude up from underneath that chair and tossing him straight up in the air. I was like, yo, this is so bad.
And where's this at?
This is Louisiana. Black Men Unfiltered is from Louisiana. Look, this is the Black Men Unfiltered right here. My partner.
Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? I ain't gonna be with you. I ain't gonna be with you long.
He can tell you more about it.
Yeah,
please tell us about your boy, the sheriff.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be with you long. I'll be with you strong. Listen, watch this. Yeah, he is right. So what they do is they put, because I'm from Louisiana, they do this even on farms that are not prisons. They put a table, a picnic table in the middle of the floor. I mean, in the middle of the rodeo, and you sit there and you play poker. They piss a bull off. They beat the shit out of a bull, punch him, beat him, stab at him, piss him completely off. You have to. They get a pot of money. And the people outside the gate are betting money. And they put a big old pot of money to bet on the guy that can sit at that table the longest before that bull either kills him. I mean, I'm sorry, no, can't use that word. Either deletes him or he just stays there and he survives the whole thing. So you playing Texas Hold'em, and they piss the bull off, let the bull out the gate. The bull goes to running. Boom, boom. He'll just run up and hit the first dude he see. He's out. And you just keep playing like nothing's going on. The next bull comes, boom. If he hits the table, you have to sit there until everybody's out. So if the men are running around, you got to sit in that chair to win that pot.
Hey, man, it sounds like a bad video game, man.
Make sure I understand this.
I'm good. I'm gonna pass
last
on that.
man standing.
Right.
So say somebody gets up from the table and they're running from the bull.
Genesis, I found videos of it.
If you
while
run,
doing
you're
research
out.
on prisons.
If you run, you're out. And they do this on farms where it's not prisons. I'm telling you, they do it on farms where all the family get together for the family reunion. Everybody stands around the gate, and they put in 4 of your uncles get out there and say, "I'm ready to play horse poker, rodeo poker, whatever you want to call it." They put them out there in the middle of the field. They put the gate around it, piss the bull off, hit the bull, punch the bull, stab at the bull. The bull get pissed off, and they let him out. And you got to continue to pay. And sometimes those buckets can be $2,000, $3,000, depending on who's staying, right? And then you got side bets going on who gonna be the last person standing. And they get the biggest bull with the biggest horns, and that bull will beat the brakes off your ass if he hit you right. Yeah, I've seen it. I've been at one of them before. I've seen it like in person. It's like, you ready, boy? Shit, no, that's not my cup of tea, buddy. I'm gonna sit here and watch the rest of you damn fools. People going to the hospital, getting hit by the bullhorn, stuck in their side, they bleeding out. Get them in the truck. Get them in the truck. Get them in the truck.
Hey, E, man, we're gonna sign you up for this gig, man, and we're gonna let you donate the winnings to the homeless shelter. Is that cool? Can we do that, E, man?
So like I said, is
never mind. Forget about that.
So I like how people kind of change what I said, because I purposely said in these inner cities, right? Like, people are not starving in Atlanta unless they choose to. When I'm talking about Seattle, I'm talking about Tacoma. Like, these places have outlets for people to eat. Now, I'm not stating that it's the greatest of food, but I do think that there's avenues for it, and I think a lot of pride got to do with it too. Now, when we talking about
real quick, guys, real quick. I'm going to put in the chat. It's going to be 2 different. I got something for you guys. It's going to work for you. That are even out the conversation. I'm going to put it in the chat. It won't let me put it in there fully, so I'm going to separate it. But it'll be, y'all can read it together once I put it in. Okay.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, and the thing is, they do this for this big pot of money, y'all, because these inmates, they have to pay co-pays for, if they got to see the doctor, they got to pay a copay, right? And you make about $54 a month. You want to make one phone call? That's $4. Okay. Now, if you want to say we have a family member or somebody we know went to prison, right? And we want to send them some money. We have to use this thing called JPay. Right, Tommy?
Yeah, it ain't $4 a phone call, though. That's all.
Yeah. Some of these places, some of these prisons, it is $4.
Fuck no. It's not that high.
Not that high. Okay,
bro. Now, I literally get GTL phone calls every week.
Gotcha.
It's not that high.
What I'm saying is,
it's high, but it's not that high.
Cool. Well,
do y'all think slavery is a choice in 2022?
So I was going to tell you, E-Man, to what you said. It's the same thing with the veterans. It's a lot of resources for veterans out here. The problem is a lot of them just don't know about them. So you're right that there's places out here for you to get these stuff, but you have to know about them. And with the veterans, it's a lot of, like, cause see, and I think you kind of struggle with this because I struggled with it before. When I got my stuff for my for my vet stuff, when I got my benefits, I struggled with understanding why these dudes wasn't going to go get their stuff, because I'm like, it's easy. All you had to do is go do this, this, and this. But I wasn't taking into account their situation, them not just flat out just not knowing about it, yada yada yada. And I say that to say, let's just say with the slavery thing, this is, I think the way that the system is set up, and when I say the system, I mean the judicial system specifically is set up. I think some of it is a choice. I agree with you on that, but I think some of it isn't. And I say that because I don't think people really understand how many people end up in that system that shouldn't even be in that system. Like, I can tell you personally, I'm a car ride away from being in that system. Like, you don't have to do a crime. All you have to do is just be around the wrong person. You don't even have to know what happened. But what happens is once you go down there and they start processing you, if you don't have a paid lawyer, they're throwing deals at you. Like 90-something% of the cases that go to court, they don't go to trial.
Right.
They get deals cut for.
They get pleaded out.
That's whether you did it or not. Because what they're going to tell you is you're facing this, this, and this, but we got this deal. If they telling you facing 25, but we gonna offer you 7, you're gonna take the 7, whether you did it or not. Because I'm out here with a we call them public pretenders, but you got a public defender. You feel me? So and the public defenders are overworked, so they don't really care. Then you got some systems where they buy and sell, meaning say, so I try to keep a lawyer on contingency.
90 to 95%.
If
I just looked it up.
Okay, so
90 to 95%.
If I come in with my lawyer and say my lawyer say like 5 racks, 10 racks, they literally go into the court and will trade defendants out. Oh, okay, my dude got this case, yada yada yada. So offer this dude, you know what I'm saying, stuff. So I see where you're coming from with it, as far as like, you know, a lot of these dudes is living a life that's going to end them up going that way. Absolutely. I just think, and I think for a reason, it's ignored how many people end up in that system that literally didn't do anything, but was in the wrong place at the wrong time and didn't have enough money for a lawyer. And so you end up, so those people end up in the exact same system as the bad people. And I think that's where the problem lies, is when you end up in a situation where I'm literally just in here because I couldn't afford a lawyer. It's that simple. And it's a lot of those situations. And we're talking about a country where, you know, we've all acknowledged most people in this country couldn't afford a $400 emergency. And you're talking about buying a lawyer where now you're talking about thousands. You know what I'm saying? It
costs dozens of thousands.
Well, it depends on your charge. But you know what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with that, and then you got stuff like private prisons, which literally make money off of you being in them, which incentivize people for putting you in there. And then you got judges, and we're just talking about the ones that get caught. They got caught for actually selling inmates to these prisons and stuff like that. So when you got a lot of these cases, you have to take into, just because it doesn't personally affect, say, your life personally, you have to take into effect that there's a lot of people out here who are literally in these situations of no choice of their own. Just like I said, like I tell people all the time, when you look at Boys in the Hood, if bro didn't actually get out of that car and he didn't shoot a single gun, all he needed was one witness to say he was in that car too. Right. He'd have been in the same spot as they would have been. That's all it takes.
So do you believe that the numbers are incorrect? Because it says about 2%. They said 2% to 10% of the people are wrongly convicted.
Can I add to that? Because that's been debunked. That statistic has been debunked.
Marcus, hold on. Let me answer that when he's done, because I haven't sort of said anything.
Okay, yeah, we ain't starting to be next. After E-Man.
Let me answer it, because he was asking me.
Yeah.
What incentive would they have to give you the stats, say if that stat was closer to, say, like a 6? I'm not saying it is, but what I'm saying is I always look at the incentive they have on giving you these statistics. So if the statistics was flipped, or if it was a lot higher than that, then what, like that would do nothing but cause more trouble for them. You see what I'm saying? Like if they found out that a shitload of the people that they were putting in jail actually didn't do what they did, that would be. We see what happens with, some of the little stuff that happens now, and how cities end up getting tore up and this, that, and the other. Imagine if they came out and said, "Oh no, well we actually, even like the judge that got caught, like that wasn't a huge story. That shit was a story that if you kind of happened to dig a little bit, you found it, but that shit wasn't like front page CNN, and he was literally selling inmates to a jail."
He's not the only one who got caught either, because I know that I'm familiar with the story that Tommy's talking about.
Yep.
I'm familiar with that story.
So if something like that isn't front page, then you see what you see how you see the agenda that they're kind of trying to push, I guess you would say. So I say that to say, go ahead, Winston.
So this is what I want to say to that. You got to be extremely careful when you look at statistics without context, because if you say, okay, only 2% are wrongly convicted. Okay, but we don't know really what that means because we don't have context behind that. Because when we look at the research and studies, because we actually did this in my public policy study, right? We know that if you are poor, you are what is it? 80% more likely to get convicted, because the system is set up that if you can't afford proper legal representation, you're going to jail, like Tommy said, right? Regardless if you're innocent or not. So when you look at that, we know just on the face that the number is going to be higher than 2%. Just because, like, for example, juvenile detention systems, right? If you can't afford bail, if you can't afford a good public attorney, whatever, you get a public defender, you're automatically going to jail. You're automatically going to jail. We know that, regardless if you commit a crime or not, just simply because you cannot afford the process. Right? You just cannot afford the process, right? And there's lots of studies on that. So we need to be careful when you look at statistics without context. And secondly, we also know that if you go to jail as an African American, you are legally a slave, right? Because that's a part of the ratification, right? It says that you are free as long as you're no longer incarcerated.
Yeah, I read that too.
Right. Once you're incarcerated, once you're incarcerated, you no longer have you're back to slave status, right? Can't get a passport, can't vote, et cetera, right? Yeah. So you are legally going back to a slave. And we also need to look at, I know it's cliche, but the prison to pipeline, that is a real thing. That is absolutely a real thing. And then also prison for profits by the Clinton administration, right? So all of those things from a financial and economic standpoint absolutely proves that slavery still exists, and there's incentives to keep Black people in that type of bondage. And then we don't even want to talk about the financial bondage of anything over 17%, actually over 7%. Anything over a 7% interest is extremely hard, and most people, meaning 80% of people, don't even pay it off, because that is financial bondage or financial slavery, right? And that is my Wharton degree in finance to let you know there's tons of studies on that. When interest is over 7%, and 7% is extremely high, you can't pay it back, or it's extremely hard. So when we're talking about 14 and 21%, predatory lending, so forget about that. So that and I'll close with that. But absolutely, 2% is absolutely wrong. It's absolutely wrong.
We ain't son, and thank you for that, man. That's our educated brother, our Ivy League educated brother, who's over there in Shanghai, China, doing his thing with his business. He owns businesses. Yeah, Hank, that man owns businesses in China and in Africa.
Man, shit ain't happening here but lockdown. Like,
right, they're on the hard lockdown in China because of COVID, man. They got people walking around in hazmat suits and barricading people in their homes and whatnot, man. I mean, real live walls in front of people's apartments.
Really?
Yeah. Right now, there's 2 military guys in front of our compound, because like we don't have houses like you guys have houses. All of our houses are enclosure. So like you don't have a lawn and stuff like that in the cities. It's not like that. So you have like all these high rises and enclosures. And then you have 2 military dudes standing outside with machine guns, because they don't want people to get out. Because we've been on lockdown since March 17th. Because China's about a zero policy. So they want to show the world that they can get COVID-free, 0 cases. So they're on quarantine.
Are y'all trying to state that slavery is not chosen today? It's something that somebody can just push on you.
Slavery is not chosen because of economics. So for example, if you're born into poverty, right, you're going to be in slavery, right? We're in a communist society. It's poverty. You can shake your head if you want to. But let me say this. You can shake your head if you want to, because I don't believe in changing people's ideas. But when you look at the Brookings Institute, that's a huge research studies. They have all the studies that you want to prove that if you were born into poverty, right, you're going to experience slavery and you're not going to get out. Since the 1950s, Americans, no white, black, whatever, have no longer have done better than their parents, and especially after 2008, after the last financial crisis. If you are poor, you will experience some sort of poverty, whether it's financial with credit cards, bank loans, or just straight up incarceration, and it's not a choice.
And I'm gonna add right after we sign him if you're done.
I'm done. Like, I mean, this is not something that you can. I mean, if you want to disagree, you can disagree, but that just means you just haven't done the research, because Harvard public policy people, Michigan, MIT have all proven that if you're born poor in America, you will experience some form of slavery.
Agreed.
Not by choice. So I mean, you disagree if you like.
10 man unfiltered. Add on top of that. Let's get 10 man right quick.
There's a saying. There's a saying, right? There's a saying. This about government and politics. They'd rather keep an innocent man in prison than have a guilty man be free. They'd rather have that person in prison. So they run the guy that has the criminal charges. They cut him loose, right? You see it all the time. You see guys that did some atrocious things that get minimal time or get let go, and then they walk, right? But feminism likes to throw this statistic of 2 to 8% of men that have been falsely accused. Incorrect. They leave the rest of the paragraph out. They say it's only 2 to 8% of the women that have the guts, the integrity to admit that they lied about it. So you can have 100 cases of courtroom cases of false accusations, but only 2 to 8 will have the guts to stand up and say, I didn't do anything. And if so, the ramifications, the justice to give him back something to happen to that person is not met at the same extent. And you're forgetting about the time lost, you forget about the PTSD or the trauma that person went through in the jail prisons. Now, on my expertise, what I see throughout the border and stuff, and the cases, people that are being put through, the 3 highest levels of corruption, extortion, racketeering, human trafficking will come through Border Patrol, Customs, and the prison officers. And then you have the corrupt judges as well. Now, the ones on the side of Mexico, they don't have the guts because they're afraid themselves as well. They put masks on. They don't even put their real names on. They just know them by judges. That's it. But they don't know them by the actual names. All right. Now, the judges on this side, like Tommy B and Mandrell was saying, those are the only guys that got caught, that we were fortunate enough to be able to get caught, that caught, what's the saying?
Those judges, selling people to these prisons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like those are the only guys that caught fire, that caught gasoline in the fire to get the agenda pushing to catch them. All right, but we have so many more people that are doing unjust things, corrupt things, slave labor force. Don't even get me started on the private prisons, because I see private prisons on this side of the border and then on the other side. You should only imagine if the way their living conditions are at, the way they're being treated, and then the way what things happen, what they allow, way big different.
Yeah, and like, if you remember,
can I respond to those 4 people that spoke? Or you know.
Before you respond, let me refresh everybody's memory. Now, to that point, like in his home state in Georgia, these 2 companies brought these immigrants over here to the United States and gathered them an H-2A visa, which is a work visa, which means these people have a social security number, right? If you have a social security number, then you can work. They illegally confiscated their passports and their papers. Illegally, just okay, look, you over here, this is where you're gonna be working, give me your stuff. And they just illegally took it from them. And then bottom line, they have them picking digging up onions and put them in a bucket, right? And they get paid them 20 cents per bucket that was harvested. And at least 2 of them died on the job. Another one was repeatedly raped. You know what I'm saying? And when they were out in the fields working, they were denied. They were detained when they were not in the fields. They were detained in camps surrounded by electrical fences. Yeah, And 24 of the accused members and associates of the criminal enterprise were charged with a slew of criminal charges like mail fraud conspiracy, forced labor conspiracy, money laundering conspiracy, and witness tampering. They just snatched these people up, gave them a visa, and put them to work as slaves right there in Southern Georgia. Now, E-Man, I'm just refreshing everybody's memory on some of the things we brought up tonight. E-Man, if you want to, you go ahead and respond to the rest of the panel.
So it is crazy that I'm hearing people say that we're not able to choose our decisions. Like when you think about debt, so we in Simon brought up debt. Debt is a choice. Nobody have to go out there and get credit cards. Nobody, like, I have to choose this. I have to sign on the dotted line for me to get debt. We can say that is
if you don't get in debt, you'll be homeless and you won't have transportation like a car or anything.
And this is what we do those extremes that if I don't get debt, I'm gonna be homeless. No, that's not true.
I pay. Look, I rent right now, right? Which means that every month I'm indebted to the landlord. So if I don't pay that debt or get that debt, I'm not gonna have a house. I mean, I could go live with my mama, but what grown man gonna do that? You know what I'm saying?
Actually, I think that's what we should be telling. You live until you get your money up to leave. Like, why are we forcing kids out to a point where we say, go out there and become a slave in so many words? Let's go out here and become a slave so that you can keep up with the Jones. If you can't afford, especially if that's willing, you should stay with your parents. That you should be having conversations with your parents. How can I be able to go out here and renting? And if you're renting a place versus owning a place is two totally different things. But debt is a choice. Can we at least agree with that? That if I choose debt, that's a choice. Or y'all don't think debt is a choice? We got to take it.
It's not a choice.
It's not much of a choice, dude. You kind of have to do that.
It's not a choice because the thing about it is okay. Let's look at the average Black person, right? So let's look at this. The average Black person comes from a single parent home, right? 70% of us, right? That person parents' average income is around $45,000. Okay, now working poor, maybe middle class. Now. In order for that person to get out of poverty, they got to make some decisions. What are the choices to get out of poverty? Go to school. If you go to school, you're going to incur debt, which is one of the most vicious types of debt. You go to school. If you don't go to school, you got vocational schools, right? Still need to get some sort of debt. Or you can go work at some retail shop, right? But retail shops are closing, right? Because of automation. So whatever venue I want to do as a good, upstanding citizen, I'm going to have to incur debt. And we know that because the average, you can shake your head if you want, the average American has $5,000 in debt, right? Whatever option I choose come from the single parent home, which is the average of us, not the extreme. Coming from a parent who makes somewhere between 40 to 50,000, which is the average of us, not extreme. In order for me to live a better life, I have to incur some sort of debt, whatever option I choose.
Is that from the Census Bureau website?
No.
You can go to labor statistics. CDC also has it, right?
Okay.
I'm pulling. Like I did public policy for my graduate program. I did public policy, so I'm pulling from those kind of case studies at the moment.
Okay.
I agree with you, man. That debt is a choice.
Right. So
not much of
No, it's not. Any functioning living grown person has to acquire debt. Whether you're a renter or a homeowner, you have to.
You kind of have to.
Anytime you owe somebody money, you're in debt.
Like,
doesn't matter. So if I have to pay,
let me land the plane real quick. If you come from that situation that I just explained, you have two options: either incur some type of debt, or you just homeless, right? Homeless. Because
if somebody said before you prepare,
I'm still in debt if I rent an apartment.
If they left
you're
you
not
alone,
in debt.
You're
not in debt if you rent an apartment. That is not true.
No. You're changing the goalpost, Genesis. What I'm asking you is this: an average person who comes from a single parent home is now 18, finished high school. What do they do, and what? So please explain to me, what do they do to avoid debt?
There's plenty of programs out here. Now, you may not be able to go to med school, but you may be able to get your certification as a CNA and LPN.
It's not free.
You have to pay for that.
So hold on. Let's stop right there. So my quick question is,
for them to go to school for free.
Let me.
A lot of people pay for their schooling. They just have to commit to work for them for a certain.
You're in debt.
So that's available to everyone. That's available to everyone. Study school for free.
You're
everyone.
in debt, Genesis.
You're in debt.
I don't consider that debt. You're making
that is debt.
Agreement.
You have to work for that. You have to work for that now.
Education, and you're going.
Can I say something?
You're an indentured servant.
Let me explain that.
Anytime you owe money, it's a debt.
Right. Let's get Canadian born Nigerian. Hold on, panel. Let's get Canadian born Nigerian a chance.
That's what we are talking about. It's also in New York State, whereby based on the degree you're going after, with 2 years, which is a debt, you got to be working for New York State for 2 years. If you don't work within those 2 year period, you have to pay back the money. It's automatic debt. Same thing with the 4-year degree, same with the master's degree. So even when you talk about the CNA program, you still have to work based on the period of time it requires you to claim that certification. But the moment you break it, it's automatic debt. So it is debt virtually speaking, but it's like you're forced. You cannot up and leave. You can't say, I'll get my CNA and I'm going to go to New Jersey. No, you can't. I can't get my CNA.
You're in debt. Scholarships, free money that you don't have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When we talk about the Pell Grant, when we talk about scholarships, when we talk about grants,
like none of that is enough to pay for college.
Yes, it is.
I had a scholarship and a Pell Grant. I still owed money.
And that's
no,
the award wasn't enough.
You know what I'm saying?
See, the thing about it is, I can agree that the Pell Grant reduces your debt. Scholarships reduces your debt. But I'm not going to sit here and say that every single person can go to college for free, or every single black person that qualifies for college.
You can't see.
Some people don't qualify for Pell Grants and CASHAPP grants.
Before I was cut off. So
let's say, Eman, go ahead and respond, please, sir.
So the point when I was talking about debt is, in any of these situations, I must choose to get in debt. I can do a lot of different things. I can go work. I can stay with my parents. I can stack up my dough. I can do all these things until I get into a financial situation where I can go. If I go to college, I need to work. I need to work at nighttime, and I need to get these type of grants. When we talk about the Pell Grant, the different things like that, it's always another option. We can't make it seem like our only option is debt, because that is just typically the easier way that people try to take. And that was the point that I was trying to make earlier.
Okay, but E-Man, I graduated high school with a 3.8 GPA, and I slept through most of my classes.
So in Georgia,
that's the problem.
And the thing is, when I went to test out, hold on 1 second. When I attended university, I had to test out to qualify for my scholarship. Almost. I passed that thing with like a 98%, highest score ever, and I still didn't get a full ride. What I'm saying, bro? Come on, these standards are ridiculous.
Hey, man, anytime you owe money, it's a debt.
Right,
it's a debt. I don't care how you look at it. It's a debt.
And if you work for these,
you don't owe any money if you got a scholarship. In Georgia,
you're talking about I'm talking about beyond, after you got your scholarship, after you got all of that. If you live in an apartment on campus, if you have to pay a light bill or you have to pay a water bill, that's a debt. If you have a cell phone bill, it is a debt.
No, just because I have a bill. Just
water bill and light you have to pay a debt. That is a debt. If you pay a light bill every month, that's a debt.
That's a debt, dude. Like me,
that's not a debt.
Okay.
Y'all don't understand this. A bill is not a debt. That is a
bill is not a debt; it's an expense.
Okay, cool. We ain't sign it. We ain't
sign
it. Give me a second. We ain't sign it. Says a bill is not a debt; it's an expense.
Can I
Yeah, flesh yourself. See if you can flesh this out for us. We ain't signing.
So okay, and so this is not. I'm not going to respond to anything E-Man said because I'm just not. It's just wrong. So first and foremost, okay, first a water bill, electric bill, stuff like that. Those are expenses, but they're not debt, right? Because it can cut off and then you can just go away. Those are expenses, right? Based on accounting, we classify that as expenses, not as debt. Second, like the people who are listening, if you come from a lower middle class, working class, or poor, it is virtually impossible for you to not get into debt. Now, if you want to do better than what your parents did or better than where you come from, it is impossible for you to do that without debt. You're going to have to incur debt at some point in time because that's just how the American capitalist system works, right? That's how the economy works. You get into debt to get into a better situation, right? You need access to capital, whether it's access to money to go to school, access to money to get a business, access to money to get a car, whatever. That's just how the American society works, right? So it's impossible. Now, are they right? Do you have to choose it? Yes, but their choices is to live on the street with no food or whatever. Or well, forget that. I'm not even going to respond to that. But the American capitalist system is designed for middle class, working class, and poor to go into debt, right? And everybody has to debt.
So are you, based off what you're saying that it's impossible for a person to live outside of debt and just have expenses?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because please,
unless you're born rich.
If I'm wrong, and I'm closing with this, because I hate that we use personal experience to say if I can do it, you can do it, which is just ridiculous. Because sometimes it's just luck. Sometimes it's just luck, bro, that we get into these better situations. And if I am wrong, then can you show that 30% of the American population are living without some sort of debt? Can you show 30%?
What I can show is that majority of the people are programmed to try to keep up with the Joneses. So I got to have the brand new car out there because the Joneses down the street got the brand new car. I can't drive the Honda. It's crazy because when I hear people like Anton tell his story, he said, I had to be down for 10 years before I was able to live. And everybody's like, oh, no, I'm not going to be down for 10 years. It is a way that we can be able to be down to be able to make it where we can change our class. Go ahead.
Anton is a business owner. He has some sort of debt. I graduated from Wharton, the best business school that is literally the best business school in the world. The best. I also have debt. Right? My classmates have debt. Debt is not necessarily a bad thing, but everyone has debt.
I'm not saying that debt is a bad thing. I'm saying debt is a choice. Like, no, I get
it's not. The thing is, man, what we're trying to get you to understand is, in order to properly navigate life and make yourself a success, you're going to have to occur some sort of debt. At some point in time in your life,
a choice.
Unless you're
how
born
well you
to
can manage it.
Unless you are born to a rich family,
manage it. So, bro, listen to me. Yeah. I graduated from high school, second in my class. I got the mayor's scholarship, full ride, free, not room and board, but covered 100% of my tuition. Right. Other than that, you're going to go into debt. And the merit scholarship is only available for the people who graduate from Philadelphia and the top two. Regardless of Pell Grants, regardless of scholarships, you're going to have some sort of debt. The thing about it is you have to manage it properly.
No, right? so
hear me out.
Let's dive in what you said first, because you're about to say a lot of things.
I mean, I don't want to talk about this with you because this is insane. It is
actually
insane. Because if I am
that's
wrong,
why people go to community college.
if I am wrong, I mean, like I have a degree from war, and go ahead. Go. I don't have nothing else to say. Go ahead.
Don't go to where you started.
That's the problem.
Where E-Man is coming from, like, say you're going into business. It's possible that a mentor could take you under their wing, show you everything that they know about business, and you become successful and you get the knowledge for free.
How did you start the business?
But we're talking about the average, not special cases. The average.
You don't
I don't
necessarily have to go into debt to start a business. You can bootstrap your business.
How are you going to get supplies? Inventory.
Bootstrap.
Okay.
There's no way to bootstrap that.
See, and this is the point that I'm saying.
There's workarounds. You just have to
when I started my first business, I chose that I wanted to do it debt free. This was a choice. Now I could have made a different choice that I could do something different. So what I did was I burned the candles on both ends. I started making money with a job to be able to save up enough money to be able to go into my business. And so what I did is I took the money from my job and I bought supplies for my business. That's what I did. And then I created a successful business without debt. So I'm not saying that it's not an easier way to do it. You 100%, if you wise and you can use debt, but it's still a choice. You don't have to choose debt. You can choose a whole nother road that doesn't. It might take a little bit longer. It might take a little bit more time, but you do have that choice. Like, it's crazy that we're trying to say that we take that choice.
Okay, E-Man. Okay, let me ask you this. Did you at any point in time up to present day incur some kind of debt?
Yes. I said that on the earlier.
Wait. Why didn't
you exercise your option then?
I said what I did. So
why didn't you bootstrap that? And why did you incur the debt?
Come on, man. I'm telling you, man. He lives that bougie lifestyle. I know what this is.
Your ribs ain't never touched you, man.
They ain't never touched.
Man, it's one of those pull yourself up by a bootstrap. So just let it rock.
Yeah, he is. It's like, bro, you gonna have to
I'm just gonna say this: we agree to disagree, man. Let me just say it like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at things now. Yeah, I qualify for grants and all that stuff, but I'm realistic. I'm probably gonna have to get a loan.
And even though E-Man, you bring up some certain valid points, but however, you're not willing to look at the other side of that glass.
Well, no, I mean, because the thing about it is to say something is a choice, meaning that it has to be available for all people. It cannot just be special cases. Because if it's special cases, then both E-Man and Genesis are right. I have no pushback, right? But when we're talking about access available for all, then that's where we have issues at, because something can only be a choice if everyone can have that choice, right? Not special cases. So I think I understand. He's one of those pull yourself up by your bootstrap kind of guy. So I get it. There's nothing to talk about then.
So are you saying that that's anybody doesn't have the ability to pull themselves up by their bootstraps?
No, they don't, because they would. I mean, it would bear out. Hey, hold on one second.
Okay, he
was going off on somebody.
Hey, listen. Hey, he told me.
I thought he casted a spell or something.
The debt collector's calling. It might be the debt collector calling.
Yeah, but no. The thing is that he sent me photos of stuff going on. What's going on over there in China? Tell me, they ain't playing.
Oh, I know.
They are not playing. I mean, like, everything he says is real, man. Like, yo, they're not playing over there. But
man, debt is an option.
Right. He said
hunger in America doesn't exist. Hot damn,
E, come on. I mean, E-Man, you said there are other options. E-Man, everybody don't have those
and earlier options, and earlier in your stream, they was showing a statistic there that almost 20 million people live in the desert.
Yeah. Black Man Unfiltered put it in the chat. Almost 20 million people live in a food desert. A food desert, brother. I mean, my thing is, and what do you do with people like that? New growth. I don't know if you're putting your pants up, but you need to stop fidgeting with your belt. Okay,
I'm sorry, I was in the library, man. You know,
you were in the library. Okay, yeah.
When does the library have
looking at the
changed?
nasty woman magazines. That's what you're looking at in the library, bro. Wait till you get home, man.
You got the Jergens,
right? A Negro, thank you for joining us on the panel tonight, man.
Salute everybody.
What would you like? What would you like to add? What do you think of tonight's broadcast? I don't know how much of it you heard, but tell me, what do you think of tonight's broadcast, and what do you have to add to the conversation?
Everything's lovely, man. I usually like you ain't have your glasses on tonight, so I was like, oh, it's gonna be a rough one because last week you had the glasses on. It was a great show, man. I had to commemorate you for that.
Appreciate it.
You know, my boy E, man, I don't know what he be on sometimes. I think he doesn't understand that he's special. Not special in a bad way, but he accomplished a lot of things. And some people I would consider him great. Like a lot of things he's done, pulled himself up. But he has tunnel vision to think that everybody's going to be like him. That's not how the world's set up. So when he achieves something, it seems like he says, okay, well, everybody should do it, as opposed to saying, well, I'm kind of special. So I don't get E, man. He from Georgia, man. He a cool dude, but sometimes he just say some things. What you be thinking about E, man? What's going on, man?
Yeah, from his reality though. If he's in Washington and that's what they have in Washington, then that's his reality.
Man,
and we know that,
Georgia,
that different parts of the country are operate different.
Well, the thing is, Genesis, I think what people are trying to get E-Man to understand is that he's just been really lucky. His lot in life, and the path that he took, that's not going to be the path laid out in front of everybody or even most people.
It's not just him being lucky, but
yeah, I don't.
Yeah, he put the work in. Now, don't get me wrong, but
because I don't want to say lucky because a lot of it's based off his decision.
Right. I mean, like I said, he put the work. That's what I mean. He put the work in. Now he had to do it himself, but everybody's not going to have them options.
For everybody, it is part luck, and one huge part I'll say is who you born to.
Yeah.
I got a little cousin. I'm just no bullshit aside. She didn't know how to cook crack since she was 10.
Wow.
That's a type of dysfunction that most people don't face. You know what I'm saying? So somebody like her, for somebody to think that somebody like her has a chance to quote unquote put herself up by the bootstraps, it's just not a reality. And she just so happened to be born to a parent that's what they was into. So and it because of that, her moral compass is threw off, you know, because when you're born into something like that where somebody's telling you it's okay to make money this way, and in fact this is how you do it, it's a completely different situation. And that's an extreme, and I will
no, but I will
say that it is
really real quick, Mandrell, if I can say something real quick, and so I can get out your hair. I want to bring some information to you, brother. You know, I always got to help you out here.
Yeah, no problem.
So the USDA, I'm looking at the site right now. The USDA says a food desert, guys, a food desert is a place where at least a third of the population of the United States live greater than 10 to 15 miles away from a place that gives free food. This is mostly in urban and rural areas. About 19 million people suffer from this daily. So in order for you to go get that free food that we're talking about to eat, you got to walk at least 10, 15 miles to go get it. It's not close to you. So that's what it means when it says a food desert. You got to walk 10 to 15 miles to go get it.
Right.
But black man, that's a choice. If you don't walk 15 miles, that's a choice, brother.
And I think also too, I think where the luck kind of comes in at.
What about the elderly, bro? What about the elderly people the elderly?
Courtney, man, fuck them all. He ain't got no sympathy for them.
Hold on,
I definitely want to
man ain't got no sympathy for the elderly, the kids, the babies, the women.
Hold on, let me finish.
I
can't go to the shop.
Hey, y'all, let's make sure you do one mic because everybody want to hear y'all. The comments on fire, so they want to hear everybody.
So black man, you telling me I can't get my little nephew as an elderly person to the local supermarket and steal a shop cart and then scoot my ass on 15 miles down the road, that's a choice.
Hell no, not according to E-Man. Your nephew gonna starve.
Now, E-Man, E-Man, if you sit,
y'all exaggerating a little bit.
Right?
He's a grown ass man. Don't protect his ass. He's a grown man. He can talk. I heard E-Man talk. E-Man can talk good.
Hey,
Tell your story, man.
Let's make sure we do one mic, man. Everybody do one at a time, Mike, so everybody can hear y'all, because the comments, they're really responding to you guys, and so let's do it one at a time. Make sure everybody get theirs out.
Right.
I appreciate y'all.
Okay. Now, Black Man, you had something to add to this, and after that, I want to get. Okay, he's out. Now, E-Man, did you hear what Black Man Unfiltered said?
Well, I think the problem with this whole discussion is that
I don't like to hear your response to that, though. The USDA
that's the point that I'm making. That's the point that I'm making.
Okay,
the point that I'm making, this whole live, I wasn't able to even answer any questions, because as soon as I say something that y'all guys disagree with, y'all jump into it to be able to not even let me get my full thought out. But it's okay. So y'all feel
no,
that.
But yeah. Okay, fair enough. Because I really do want to hear, as you being the detractor here, I'd like to. I really do want to hear your response to some of to all of it, preferably. But what do you have to say to the things that have been said?
That's the question that I asked, is that are you going to let me actually answer the question before?
Yes, I will. Panel, let's please panel, let's please give E-Man time and the floor to respond to what's been said tonight, because I really want to hear his point of view.
So the answer, so it was like 20 points made. So I just hit the last 3. All right. When y'all talk about these food deserts, I was really specific in how I listed it. I said these people are people that have access to major cities. I've been talking about major cities. I feel this right here. If you too far enough, just like the Indians taught us, if you too far away from the buffalo, get close enough to the buffalo where you can eat. You move where the food is at. So I get when we're making these statements that it's 10 miles out, it's 15 miles out. If I was hungry and starving, I'm going to get closer to the food. I'm just saying that's how my mind thinks. The second thing I want to say is I am not lucky. Anybody can do what I did. We make these. It's crazy. The harder we work, the luckier we get. It's crazy. Like I bust my butt. I put in the work. And people say, "Oh, you just lucky. You just in the right place." No, I've been working 20 hours a day for the last 10 years. You don't see the hard work behind the luck. So I don't believe in luck. I don't think luck is even a realistic thing. We always tell the people like Warren Buffett, "Oh, he was lucky to make the trades at the right time." Or we tell like Mark Zuckerberg, you was lucky to walk into the room to get an investor. No, he was going to be successful anyways because he was willing to put in the work. So that's a big factor that we got to do. And the last thing that y'all guys was talking about when I said is this right here is that might be the easiest option, but it's still an option. I don't have to choose to be in debt. Like I'm saying, in the society how it works today, I can choose, hey, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it out the mud. My first business, I decided that I wanted to get it out the mud. I talked to a mentor, and he was like, hey, real estate is a good idea. You should go into debt. I pushed back on it, but he said, hey, this right here can make you into a millionaire if you see what it is. So I'm saying both of those sides, I decided to take debt on because I see that debt was a way for me to get to a certain level of wealth. But I could have kept just grinding it out the way that I do. It still was my choice. We got to stop making it seem like these humans don't have the right to choose whether right or wrong. Regardless if it's a great decision or a bad decision, you always have choice in this world. And that was the points that I was trying to make based off those last 3 things.
I would say, as far as with the luck conversation, and like I was saying before, when they were saying that is, I acknowledge that you have to make decisions to get where you at. So I'm not going to solidly put it on luck. I think the luck part comes in at, if I understand you correctly, when we've talked before, is you've come from a rough neighborhood, correct? And you've had friends that was in the bullshit, right?
Yep.
So where I say the luck comes in at again is if you had gotten picked up with them then you could have easily been put into a situation just by being. I'll give you a perfect example, like in California, and it was more for LA that they set this up. They had a law where if it was either 3 or more, 4, or if you were together and dressed alike, they literally would just qualify you as a gang. And if you didn't give them a gang name, they will make one for you. This is fact. For that reason, I'm documented under like 4 or 5 different gangs that literally don't even exist, that they created themselves. In saying that, say if I'm riding with one of my partners and they did some shit and they get picked up and we both get put in there, not only could I get charged with that, they can also throw gang enhancements on there based off of the police literally seeing me walking around with 3 of my partners that was quote unquote dressed alike, and then they take pictures of them. So what I'm saying is it's a lot of instances in when you coming from neighborhoods like that there is luck. And that's why I use like the Boys in the Hood situation, because okay, so we know at the end of the movie Trey went on to college, yada yada yada. If Trey was on this panel and Trey was saying, you know, I got here, it had nothing to do with luck, yada yada yada, because we've seen that movie, I think we can all say that's bullshit. He got lucky to get out of that situation. Again, all he had to do is be identified in that vehicle, and he could be sitting in somebody's penitentiary for 25 years of life because he was identified in a vehicle that eventually went ahead and did a crime. And that's what and I think that's what a lot of people don't understand is when you grow up in those neighborhoods and you hang out with certain people, you're not hanging out with them necessarily because they're into this, that, and the other. A lot of times you're hanging out with them because this the dude you've been hanging out with since y'all was riding big wheels. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of times they don't openly tell you what they're into. So if they had just did this, this, and this, and they don't tell you, you get picked up, you can get caught up in the middle of that. And another thing with the system that's messed up that a lot of people don't understand is, let's say if you even do get found innocent of this stuff, a lot of times if you ain't got time to no money to bail out, you sitting in jail, in county jail for 1.5 years, 2 years, while you're fighting this case that you didn't even do. And while you're doing that, your job ain't like, oh, we gonna wait for you to get back. Your bills ain't like, oh, we gonna wait for you to get back. So you literally sit in jail for something you ain't do until you get proven innocent. So it's a lot that goes into it.
I believe that we gotta. Hold on, let me respond. Hold on, wait.
Ultimate, you had a whole hour to add.
One second, man.
I was responding to E-Man, so he want to respond back.
Yeah, just give E-Man a second to respond back. E-Man, if you would. Then we're gonna go to Wayne Steiner.
So Tommy B, when I talk about not lucky, so I was the driver in my crew, right? I was the one who had the car. I was the first one with the car. I literally used to pat people down before they got in my car, just because of the environment we was in, and I knew everybody was holding something, some kind of drugs, this, that, and the third. And my parents taught me to protect my environment. Like, hey, if you get in my car, you know it's a rule, no drugs, no this, that, and the third. If that's something, my friends respected me enough not to bring that around. I done had my friend like, hey man, I'm gonna ride with what you call it because you know I got that thing on. I said I appreciate that. So I get what you're saying, but we also got to contribute to creating an environment where that can't even be in your space, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
No, I actually 100% agree with you. My only problem with that is you doing that was extremely mature at that age. Most 15, 16-year-olds ain't patting down their partners trying to make sure they ain't got nothing on them. That was number one. And number two, what I was saying is what you're saying is true, specifically like if they have something on them. My thing is they don't always have to have something on them. It could be they did this, this, and this with a group of people, and then you just get identified as being in that. I'm just saying it's a lot of instances where you could get caught up in some BS just by being around. And in that, I say that's where the luck come from. I would never dedicate your entire success to luck because you have to do a lot of shit to get where you at.
Right.
But to get out of a lot of these neighborhoods that we're in because of the stuff that goes on, it does require some luck. If you're tied in, or if you hang around certain people that go a certain path, then it does. Now, if you're one of the lucky ones that's able to kind of live there and just kind of, you know what I'm saying, go around the edges and not really have to interact with them types, that's a whole different situation. But you know, like,
and then I did know all the police too, Tommy B. Like so in Georgia, what we do is we hire the police for our parties. They sit out in the parking lots of our parties so that people, because if you don't put police in your parking lot, they shoot it up. So even when I was getting pulled over by police officers, these was guys who worked for me at nighttime. So they was like, hey, E, go ahead. So I always had that relationship with them. Like, they didn't even pat my homeboys down because they knew that I was putting money in their pocket too. So that's what I'm saying, is that kind of control.
But that's like a specific experience, though. You know that most people don't have that. And that's what I'm saying is, for most people, they're not going to have that relationship. Because I got a homeboy that got the same thing. He got pulled over that the other day. He was able to call a watch commander and get that whole thing. So I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying, for the most part, most people aren't going to have that. And so for that, and that's why I say the part about you getting to a point where you can kind of see stuff from other people's point of view, because like you having that is a huge advantage for you, because like you said, they already know you. So if something was like that was to come up, you'd have people to vouch for you, like, nah, he ain't like that, yada, yada, yada. But most people, if you show up, you just another face and they just book you and you keep it pushing or whatever. Like I said, I would never put even like a majority of your success on luck. But I think for coming from the places that we come through, I think luck is usually sprinkled in there somewhere for you to make it out of there. Like I said, unless you just was like one of the ones that was lucky enough to just kind of be around the edges and just not really even interact with, you know, those type of dudes. But I mean, again, like I don't want to ever want to be on either extreme of this. I don't ever want to be on one extreme where I just feel like if I stick my head out the window, I might end up, you know, a slave. But I also don't want to be, you know, to where I don't understand how the judicial system is set up to pretty much feed the monster. And so, you know, that's why I see both sides of it or whatever. And that's why I'm not necessarily rah-rah on either side. But I think there is when you just look at the way that the judicial system is run, I think it's very hard for you to deny that that it still exists, just off of, like I said, when you got private prisons and people actually profiting off of having prisoners, and then on top of that, like Barker, the situation where you have most cases that come before judges are deals are made. You know what I'm saying? Whether, you know, so
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah, because like I said, I'm looking at it when Tommy B spoke about it. I sat here and typed it and looked it up. 90 to 90.
They actually say that if every person instead of took a deal went to trial, like the courtrooms will literally be backed up for years. They don't even have the time to even. So that tells you how crazy the system is they don't even have the time to properly get you through court, because if they actually gave everybody that, they just completely took deals away, the courts would be backed up for years.
Yeah.
My thing is, E-Man's talking about if these people, you know, live that far away, then move. Man, these people can't afford to eat. What makes you think they can afford to move closer?
I mean, look. I'm gonna shoot E-Man some bill, man. Some of these people are extremely resourceful. I'm gonna just be 100 with you, bro. I got cousins that can literally read you out how to get on welfare like it's a fucking Bible, bro. They can send you to the exact page to go to, what you need to register for. Like some of these folks is a lot more resourceful than we giving them credit for.
Well, the thing is, Tommy,
but most of them ain't though.
But hey, thing is, at first I was looking at Tommy, I was like, wait a minute, they can do that. And then I thought about it, I was like, I can do that with the whole VA shit. You know, the whole thing with the VA, like, and the thing is, like, when you say, like, E-Man, I think you brought up earlier that there's information out there, and now Tommy brought up that information is out there with the VA, but the problem is most people don't know about it, and that's true. Because when I had to find out the information that I know, as much as I know, it took years, E-Man. And I went to several different VAs over 4 different states. And I still don't know everything. Over 4 different states. I went to at least 3 VAs in 4 different states each.
And there's a difference between the benefits that they tell the military members on a pamphlet and the military benefits you get behind the pamphlet that they don't even put on there.
They don't even put on the pamphlet.
And that's dealing with quote unquote America's heroes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you got to go through all that to get them benefits.
The thing is, I was intentional about that. Yeah. I had to hunt, brother. You know what I'm saying?
My GI Bill. I couldn't get my job bill benefits until like a year and a half, 2 years into it. And I was in school already. I had to rely on the FAFSA, the BOG waiver, the Pell Grant.
And email's a veteran. He knows the job bill is supposed to be automatic. The school's in contact with the VA. You go to the school and go to financial aid. I'll use my job bill. Oh, you're a veteran? Yeah, bring your DD 214 in. That's it.
Well, get me started on that, man.
That's all you need.
I'm missing easy some month off of that shit, man.
Right.
Yeah.
You wanted to respond?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to respond. I want to add because I don't want.
Go ahead.
So, I just want to say this: it is a combination of hard work and luck. At least for my personal story, I will say that. Like, because whether you call it luck or opportunity, whatever, you know, you got to be ready for the opportunity. But there are some things that I got that I absolutely did not earn that helped me to get where I am today. Absolutely, there's countless things that happened that it just happened. There's no explanation, rhyme, or reason. And if you really talk to anyone, most successful people, they'll tell you the same thing, right? There have been times where I just happened to get something that I didn't earn. I was ready for the moment and I got it, but you know, I just lucked out and I got it, right? I mean, to say that, you know, everything I got was 100% on me, that would be a lie. That would be a lie. Because
I'm not stating that 100% of everything I got on me. I do believe in blessings. If we start talking about a higher being, but
that wasn't anything about you.
I know, but I'm just responding. I'm just responding since, you know, I am a co-host today. I'm just responding to what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's nothing about you.
I got
That's
you.
all I'm saying.
So, but I do believe in blessings. Now, so don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that 100% of everything that I have done is me. I do believe God have touched a lot of areas in my life, but I just don't think that is what I call luck. That's something totally different.
Aren't they synonyms?
And you think God did it?
I mean, it's essentially the same thing. It's just you know, when you're a Christian, you call it a blessing. For me, I think it's the same thing. I think you guys related to, you know what I'm saying, to God, but I think when like, so somebody like me, if I call something luck, for me it would be equal to somebody saying that something was a blessing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. Because shout out to New Growth, man. What's up?
What up, bro?
Yeah, and I'm gonna just add on real quick because I think New Growth hasn't really said much. I'm gonna let him spit after, but
he's got that Jergens going on.
Real quick. There's a couple food desert areas that I know in Southern California, in the desert area. So like some of them are like from Calexico and Brawley. You got Joshua Tree close to the 20 Palms base. Nothing but chicken heads and crack heads out there. You might see a freaking wheel like roll down the hill. That's about it. And you'll see you have what's the other place? Blythe. Horrible places right there. Nothing but desert. You'd be surprised that you don't be surprised if you see, like I said, nothing but crackheads and like drug dealers and stuff, if they're there. And then on top of that, you said something earlier. I believe in I understand if people are fortunate. I'm not here to make people feel bad if they're fortunate or not. But then I look at it the other way as well because I see both sides. So I'm not like pushing anything against you. I just hopefully you can see both sides of the table. That was my point. That's why we came up on here because I understand where you're coming from, man. I think parents should be striving enough to make sure that their kids don't have to struggle the way they did, and that's commendable. Right. You know,
well, and I'm not saying that people I like because I'm not saying that poverty doesn't exist and people don't live in poverty. That is obvious today that poverty is prevalent. But I don't care. The point that I'm making tonight is I don't care what your situation is. You have the right to kind of change your class, change your wealth, change everything about you. You just got to make a decision to do it. I don't think nothing can stop a person who put their mind to it that they can change. In my opinion.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I agree with that. I think we all agree with that, right? I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
I think you got the biggest pushback tonight, E-Man, when you were saying that debt was a choice. And
it is a choice.
No, bro, not really. Not really.
So,
I mean, now here's the thing. Now here's the thing.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. To say that, I think we all understand where you're going with it. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't incur some kind of debt, then what kind of life are you going to live? It won't be some big glamorous, you know what I'm saying, 6-figure kind of life, man. You're only going to earn so much money if you don't incur debt.
Some people are born into debt as well.
Right. You're only gonna top out at so much in earning if you don't incur debt. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to take an auto loan. You're gonna have to take you're gonna have to take an auto loan. You're gonna have to take something.
Some people pay cash. Some people pay cash for
with
things.
what money?
They got a job. See,
you bootstrap until you do. You go without until you have the cash to buy it outright.
But man,
cash
is
means
right.
nothing.
Like,
you need credit. Credit's more important than cash.
You don't need to have credit. That's
you do.
Oh my God!
You absolutely have to have credit. What are you talking about?
My God, y'all need to stop.
So let me add this. So for example, because I was part of an HR consultant, if you don't have credit or good credit, that does disqualify you from even applying to certain jobs.
Yes.
You absolutely need credit because when they do background checks on you when you're applying for a job, they check your credit history. If you don't have a credit history or a poor credit history, that goes to speak to your character and how well you can handle your obligations.
Are you?
And I know this. And I know this because I work for. Please let me finish. I didn't interrupt anyone. I worked for a consulting company that helps them to background check people like that. So I'll just add that and I'll be quiet.
Yeah,
but
not everybody works for an employer. There are people who are self-employed. So if they're self-employed and they pay cash for everything, then they don't have the need.
But you accumulated some. You're going to incur some kind of debt.
Y'all just trying to come up with anything to support the argument.
It's just you're going to.
Anything
Why you save these man? These man's a grown man. Don't save these grown man.
So are y'all really saying this? Hold on. So y'all saying so I got my first job. I was 14 years old, right? I was working for Kroger's, and the only reason I started working for Kroger's because it was less than a mile from my house. I walked to work every single day. After I got my first paycheck, I bought a bike, right? I was saving 50% of my income, and I was giving the other half to my mom to help my mom support her bills. I bought my first car in cash. Matter of fact, when I went to the military, I had a lot of money going into the military for the simple fact that I threw parties. I found ways to hustle. I didn't start getting debt until I started getting the mentor. So that's the point. We was told that debt was evil. I grew up in the time debt was evil. Don't touch debt. Stay completely away from it. I went to the military with my own car, my own money. Everything I bought up until that point was in cash. I started talking to the first sergeant, and the first sergeant said, "Hey, man, I want you to get a credit card, XYZ, this, that, and the third." He was my mentor, and just because I listened to him, I got my first credit card. But I truthfully and honestly believe I could have went my whole life without debt because I had understood the principles. I tell people all the time, it's really good for you. It's a book out there called The Richest Man of Babylon. If you take in 10 to 15% of your income and putting it aside and start using that money to invest, what's just going to happen is you're going to start creating a nest egg. In 5 to 10 years, you're going to be able to go buy things in cash that other people can't to be able to fund your business that other people can't. Could you do it faster? Yes, you can go get a business loan and do it faster, but it is a way that we can be able to survive without getting debt. We can't just push that message. The only way that you can live a good life is if you have debt. That's crazy.
But E-Man, let me ask you this.
That's not crazy, E-Man.
How many people on the panel own a home, right? Did y'all buy y'all first home cash?
I bought my first home. I bought my first home with a loan.
Okay.
So you had to have good credit, right?
That's debt.
No, actually, no.
How about you, Miss Genesis?
I have a home
don't have to
that
have good
actually
credit.
was passed down to me.
Okay, see, you lucky. I love that. That's what I'm trying to do with my daughter. So
that's responsible and fortunate. Okay.
Yeah, that's dope. Most people who are creating
some rather fortunate people on this panel like to cast first stones.
I see the old bougies.
Right.
The point that I'm making is that I didn't have to. Like when I was thinking about getting a home, I sat down with a guy that I really trust, and he was like, "Hey, it was 4 years ago." He said, "This is time to buy. The market is about to shred. It's a good investment opportunity." So because what I was always
taught loan scams.
No, I bought a house. What do you mean? I bought a house. This theory, especially for military, I must speak for military. This theory that you got to have good credit to buy a house is a lie.
No, my point is that you accrue debt.
Here's the thing.
You talked about Mark Zuckerberg earlier. Facebook would not exist if he didn't take debt. It wouldn't be what it is today. Amazon, all of these people that we admire, they had to go into debt.
But it was
Kanye. Some of them filed for bankruptcy too.
Say that again, E-Man. What you say?
But what I'm telling you, bro,
because
it was still a choice.
But your whole argument is about we don't have to be poor. Black is not synonymous with poor. You cannot develop generational wealth in a short amount of time by, like you said, trying to say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You have to take money and flip money.
It is true.
It's true.
No, so what I'm saying, so say for example, let's say your parents, right? Say if your parents would have took the basic.
No. Hold on. Let me finish. No, we're not talking about our parents. We're talking about us because we're not going to go.
Even New Grove. What I'm saying is, say you. I think New Grove. You said you like 45, right? Somewhere around there, right? Imagine if you took the basic fundamentals of investment, and you said every dollar I'm going to save 10 to 15% of what you have. You have thousands, if not hundreds of $1,000s saved up today, just over the 25 years that you've been working. What we're doing is we're not teaching people the fundamentals of investing, and that's why they have to incur debt.
But that's not logical, brother, because you're assuming that these people, without accruing college loans, some people can't afford it. Their income is not going to be the same as somebody who has a job that can generate that type of money.
It doesn't matter. Listen, it doesn't matter. If a person 18, listen, this is almost a guarantee. If a person just works, I don't care if they work at McDonald's. If they take 10% of their income from 18 to 65 and you put it in investments, like say any of the investments, like say Microsoft, say if a person would have just invested, they check and invest in Microsoft, Walmart, Apple, any of these companies for over a period of time, they would be a millionaire just by 10% of their income.
But you're talking about the stock market and shareholders.
No, because you're talking about companies that we didn't know that were going to be this. See, you have the ability to see past tense. Nobody knew that Apple was going to be what it was going to be.
We knew Microsoft. We knew Walmart was going to be.
To start somewhere.
Hold on a second.
Everybody knew Walmart. Can we agree that everybody knew 15 years ago that Walmart was going to be here?
Right, but the thing is, man, the biggest point I think you're missing is that how many McDonald's employees or fast food employees, period, know about investing?
But that's what they call fast food. Poor. How many of them can survive a lifestyle while they can even save 10%? With a family of wife. See,
that's your fault. That's your fault. You're supposed to live underneath your means. If you only make $1,000, you only spend $800. Like this is the problem with I say
people live at $4,000 in Seattle.
I would like to add something. I would like to add something if I could. So when we look at something called the working wage, right, and we compare the U.S. to other first world countries, Switzerland, UK, whatever, right? America has the worst working wage of all developed countries because most people need two jobs or 1.5 jobs just to be able to live week to week. And a majority of people, regardless of race, are living paycheck to paycheck just for the basic daily needs. So, and this is why I kind of refuse to get into this argument, because if you know these things, you would not say it's a choice, right? Because most people, I'm not, E-Man, I didn't interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Most people are living paycheck to paycheck, and America, compared to majority of first world countries, offers the worst living wage, meaning that majority of people need 1.5 to 2. Now, you can, and then I'm pretty sure, an audience, watch this audience. I'm pretty sure they're going to give personal stories. And if you notice, What I talk about, I'm talking about the average person. I'm talking about the majority of people, because they are right. If you want to talk about an individual, yes. But when we talk about systems and systematics, this is why Black people are failing, because we take the nuanced cases instead of looking at the majority, instead of looking at the system. It is factual that America has the worst, the worst a living wage. That's why retired people go to Panama, go to Mexico. That's why you have an explosion of people in Texas and Southern California going to Mexico for healthcare. Right, that's why you're seeing a large majority of Americans now trading in passports, because the working wage attached with inflation, which is now 23%, is horrendous. And now you're asking people who are living paycheck to paycheck for basic needs to now invest 10% when they're working 1.5 to 2 jobs, working 2 jobs, now to invest that by 10%. And I'll leave it at that. I mean, you can reply if you want, but I'll leave it at that.
And don't forget. Let me reply. Hold on. Let me reply.
Hold on. Let me say. Don't forget that you have to find the next Microsoft now that nobody knows about.
No, you don't. No, you don't. So what I'm saying, what I am saying is this right here. So if you know that your income is limited, kind of what I encourage you to do, get you a roommate, live with somebody, find you a place where you can rent out a room for $500. Like, these places exist. It's uncomfortable, but you say, hey, I have this amount of income coming up. I only can spend this amount of money. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend this amount of money. Where can I live at this? Reach out to your mama, your cousin, your auntie. Be down for a period of time, because if you're down for a period of time, it gives you the ability to invest so that you can go out and get your own place. So that's the point that I was making, is that, yes, you're going to have to live an uncomfortable lifestyle to be able to invest this, but that's what we say people are trying to keep up with the Joneses. They're spending money on stuff they don't have to spend money on. You should be driving that bucket. That's a $500 bucket that came from the junkyard that you got to put oil in every month. I went through this.
I agree with you.
All right, let's get Canadian or Nigerian. Black David.
Big sexy.
Oh,
help us out here, brother.
When I hear the argument from E-Man and I hear it from Genesis, you're basing on your individual experience, not the collective. Let's bring that argument to New York City, where most people are born into poverty, not by their own choosing and based on their own circumstances. That's number one. Number two, when you have high rent, and the majority of people cannot get the type of job that pay more than $15 an hour, and the amount of rent you have to pay take about more than, let's say, 20 to 30% of your paycheck, regardless of the bill. How you think people will make ends meet? There are people out here in New York City working 2 to 3 jobs, trying to make ends meet. Let's be honest. I'm not going to hear no more individual experience. When you give me individual experience, that's just one person to the collective. So I'm going to be logical about it. I don't want to hear no more individual experience. Let me hear collective experience.
So collectively, if you're living in a place that you cannot afford, leave.
Okay.
I'm glad
you said that, and I'm glad you said that. I'm glad.
It takes money to move.
So since you say that, right? I spoke to people who are social workers. Thank God they're not here listening from you guys. If they hear it from you guys, they will look at you and shake their head. That's number one. Yeah, it takes money to move. That is correct.
Number
move
two.
To where?
Somewhere less expensive.
You can afford.
Somewhere less expensive.
Let's make that crystal clear. There are a lot of people who want to leave New York City so bad, but don't have the means to do so, based on the quality job they can find out here. C-19 destroyed most of these jobs that people were stacking up their money hope to get out of here. Now they gotta make all me. Don't cut me off. I've been quiet for long enough. I don't want nobody to cut me off in the panel. Period. Thank you very much.
Number two.
And as I was saying, there are a lot of people want to leave New York City. Yeah, they want to. They want to get the hell out of here. They don't want to be here. But when you don't have the actual job to get you where you need to, remember they passed a bill for essential workers to keep them within their life during the C-19, while you people who got the chance to work from home. I got the privilege to work from home. I'm not gonna front. I was OD on Amazon Prime. I was OD on Uber Eats. Okay, I want to go out there, but these people are risking their lives
Genesis,
to
you
make
petty,
ends
you
meet.
petty, Genesis.
So I don't have to work. I don't have to go to the office. This is the great thing. Because if I have to, either I live in Portland or I live in Georgia. That way my job located at. That's number one. Number two, like I said, there are so many people who born in poverty, not in their own choosing, but out of circumstances. They had to work 2 or 3 jobs to get their ass out of here. And upon doing so, there's a lot of problems. And let's not forget, we had the stereotyping of police profiling among black people, among Latino in New York City, which is a known thing. You know, don't want to bring that in particular police department that created that mess in the first place. Number four, right now, New York City is like the one of the worst cities to live in.
Nice, Mandrell.
There was a shooting that took place, whereby there are people going back and forth to work, and a dude opened fire and kill up to what, I don't know, what, 10 to 15 people? So when you want to talk about get out, yeah, a lot of people are going out. Those who have the money to go out are upper middle class. Low income people don't have the chance to move out because they made it hard for them to move out in the first place on purpose so that it can keep them here through the service work that it requires. Talk about McDonald's, Starbucks, talk about these hotels. How much are they getting paid to do these type of jobs? Let's do the math. Because
All
when
right.
you want to make, when we want to, I say, don't cut me off.
Well, you took
I
a
say,
long pause. I thought you was finished. Keep
I,
going.
no,
Let
E-Man,
him cook,
we love
man.
to
Let him
cut
cook.
people.
He has
I
been
can do
waiting a long time. He has
a
been
lot of
very
you guys
Being
patient.
very
still
patient.
running. So I'm being patient. So I earn my patience, okay? Chemo pasta style. Let's play like that. As I was saying, if
He
you want
said,
to look at
what?
the, yeah, I said it. As I was saying. So if you want to talk about people who you tell them to move out, and the government did it in a way where they don't have the chance to move out, either or in debt, yeah, they're not making enough money, they're getting kicked out from the apartment out here they're living in because they're paying too much high rent. You got shitty landlord with the apartment scam. Oh, the number listed because in this city
Look at
alone,
her. Look
we
at her
have over
glowing. Look at those
we have
lips.
over we have over 200 slum landlords ripping off people in this city alone. 200 plus that own multiple property. And you wonder why people are going crazy in this city right now? They're going haywire and say, "Oh, just move out." Yeah, I can move out. I can stack of money and move out easy, yes. But my next door neighbor who don't have the means to do so can't. So why you explain to me, oh, it's that easy, or everybody choose to be in debt? No, not everybody choose to be in debt. I don't want to hear that nonsense. That's individual experience. I see it. I know what it's like to be homeless. I used to be homeless at one point. Yes, I used to be in the shelter. Yes, I used to be on the street. I know what it's like to be out there. But imagine me being homeless and have a job and butt my ass. It wasn't like I chose to be homeless. It was circumstances. But when people want to make this, well, you can get on your books. Life not to throw you a monkey wrench. It's all about how you go about it. So until you know this life, I don't want to hear not another excuse ever again. Because when I hear these things, you kind of like being ingenuous. You kind of like being dishonest. Kind of like saying, okay, well, if I could do it, everybody could. Yeah, if everybody can do it, there'd be a lot of millionaires. And like we Anthony was saying, yeah, America is worse when it comes to work wages. When you have people believing Donald Trump, why they get other people from other countries like Norway? No one want to come here. They getting paid about what? Minimum wage. What was it? $22, $25 an hour? That's minimum wage over there? How much we getting paid over here? 15. Oh yeah. We did a series of my show about the living standard, the work environment. In Spain, people get 3 hour lunch. What kind of lunch you get? What kind of lunch do you have in this country? Either in a 1 hour or less. So what are you talking about? Come on. Really? You wanna go there?
The
I'll
baby.
hold my kid for there for now. The next time I make my peace again, if I keep quiet long enough, don't interrupt me again. Okay?
Black David.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, Black David did earn his time on the mic. He was extremely patient tonight.
He was.
And
Look
Black
at that
David,
hair. Look at that hair.
Black David, I want to thank you for that.
Wait, Black
Thank you for
David.
that. Now,
were you born in New York?
I was born in Montreal, Canada, Quebec. I was the only child out born in Canada.
So you
My
chose
parents
to go to
migrated.
New York,
No.
right?
I did. So you tell me I chose when I was
You
a
chose to
1-year-old
go.
baby?
You weren't born there, so you chose to go there.
I chose to go to Canada. Are you trying to say?
No, you chose to go to New York.
I didn't choose. Let me clarify what I'm saying. I was born in Montreal, Canada. When I was 1 year of age, my parents moved to New York. I didn't choose to move to New York. My parents did. So how did I? You tell
After
me
you
a
don't
1-year-old
still
baby.
live with your
Hold on.
parents,
You
though,
tell me
right?
a 1-year-old baby can Google God across the border, be like, "Hey, I'm coming to New York City."
Okay, no, they can't Google Gaga. But when you moved out, you don't. Do you still live with your parents?
No, I didn't live with my parents. I moved out
Okay, you
because
don't live with your parents. So when you chose to move out from your parents, after you stopped Google Gaga, then you could have chose to go to
But guess what?
Oklahoma
to be fair,
and
Genesis,
When I
Kentucky,
chose, I
somewhere
took
else.
a
No.
risk because what I was staying at wasn't the right place for me to be in to begin with. When I was living with my parents, they were going behind my back, sabotaging my college career, trying to take documents out of my wallet to keep me from getting a job. So because of that, I had to leave. Now, if I didn't leave, the black hole would have been created and there'd be a lot of drama. And
But
trust
when
me,
you left,
when I left,
you
I
had to
made a choice.
leave.
I
You
had
had
to
to
leave,
make an investment into the place where you were going to move,
which
right?
means I had to take that. It's not that I had a choice to because two things. Either I leave and do what I need to do what I got to do right now, or stay in and have to create some black hope whereby people go to the New York City, they lost their mind, they lose it, cannot take it no more, and they attack their family. It become a known thing in New York City lately these days. Due to a high level of stress,
But my
compounded from
point
different
is,
factors.
He didn't want to be a stripper anymore. Leave him alone, Genesis.
you took money
I didn't take
that
money
you
from nobody.
had saved or earned or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and chose to go rent your apartment wherever.
That's not a fair argument, Genesis.
No, it's not.
Same money. You could have
I
chosen to go somewhere else. You're right across the way from New Jersey.
No, that's not much.
cheaper in New
No, it's
Jersey.
not. That's not much better. Here's the
You
thing,
know,
Genesis.
Jersey's like dangerous too, right?
And Genesis,
New
here's the
York
thing.
is dangerous.
No, not like Jersey. But here's the thing, Genesis. That's not a genuine argument. That's not a genuine argument. Here's the thing. New York has always been a rather expensive city, but not like it is now. And this happened suddenly. This happened really fast. It dropped. The situation in New York jumped on everyone's backs super quick. Blink of an eye type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Now.
No, we're not making excuses. Here's the thing. It's just like Atlanta.
Okay.
Atlanta. No,
I haven't
Atlanta.
seen anybody talking about Corey Hager's comments because he was dropping some comments.
Okay, yeah, he was. But here's the thing.
He was dropping facts.
Here's the
facts.
thing. Take a job in work camp, make a lot of money, and move away from New York City. Gotcha.
Further up.
Get a CDL and drive. No, okay. I'm gonna do a show on that. The whole truck driving thing, not the move anymore. Now you got some people who still make money, but these truck
can't even drive to Canada no more.
Here's the thing: these truck driving companies, they're up to shenanigans. Those guys are working for slave. I was gonna bring that up in tonight's show. Them truck driving companies
right there. Hold on.
They're
That's the one
people
right
over.
there.
They're screwing people over. Too many
Read
people
that one
buying
out loud.
things to impress other people who don't like them in the first place. Why? Now that's true. You do have a lot of people.
That's where people spending their money at.
Here's the thing: you do have people who live above their means. You do. I concede that to you, E-Man. And to be honest, I do understand what you're trying to say tonight. About the whole bootstraps mentality. I'm a person who believes in going out there and getting it yourself too. Like me,
change.
I think it's this Negro.
I'm not jiggling no change.
I don't know who it is then. But here's the thing. I believe in getting out there. And
are you hiding in some bushes or some shit?
Probably. He's talking some chick.
Whoever's jangling this, it's like you're hiding in a bush.
I don't know. But anyway, like I said, Genesis, and E-Man, I believe in that too. But the problem is, man, not everybody has the same circumstances. Not everybody, people don't. If you don't have anyone to either inspire you, point you in the right direction at some point in your life, make some kind of positive impact on you, it's going to be extremely hard, almost impossible for that kid to go in the right direction to where, that is a choice? Come on, man. Not much of one. That's not much of a choice.
That is a great choice, though. That is a great choice if you're trying to build capital.
You don't have to have a
okay,
credit
yeah. Speaking from coming from a woman who's had car loans. Everyone on this panel has had debt.
Has a house given to her.
Yeah, had a house given to her.
You can buy a cash car.
Oh, stop it! Just stop it.
We have car loans because we want to drive nice cars.
Right,
but let's be fair.
This is coming from a woman. Genesis, you're not telling me that you have not had a privileged life.
I never said that.
Exactly. You can get.
I'm not here to make you feel bad, though.
At the same time, I'm one of those people that likes to pay cash for everything. Now, I'm not going to say that I don't have credit cards because I do have credit cards.
Right.
However, those are not for everyday use.
But those are silly debt choices.
You don't have the money for it, then don't buy it.
Those
but
are dumb debt choices. But you do it.
So why don't we practice?
I never said that I don't use my credit cards, but you use the credit card and you pay it off because you do have to have some sort of credit history if you're going to make yourself what's the word I want to use? Financially secure, or you never know what might happen in the case of emergency. So you do have to have a backup plan, but it should not be what you're relying on. You should be relying on what you can afford to pay for in cash. If you don't have cash, wait.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Save up the money in order until you can afford whatever it is you want.
No,
but that's the thing in America.
Yeah.
You got kids, Christmas time coming up.
You don't go into debt for Christmas.
You don't charge your credit cards?
No,
just pay it off next month?
No, you don't. You don't go into debt. There's a difference between using a credit card. If you spend $500 and you can pay the $500 off. Yeah. If you're spending $500 and you can only pay $50, then no, you didn't need to make that purchase.
Right, I agree with that. No,
but even today they have debit cards that report to your credit. You don't even need credit cards anymore.
Yeah,
I can build my. Okay.
You still need credit cards, man.
I need my American Express.
Have y'all been reading Dave?
Yeah, you do. Yeah. I want to say, E-Man, don't walk around thinking that. Don't preach that. Make no mistake, you do, bro. You still need a credit card,
especially for businesses.
You didn't hear what I said. What I said, it is debit cards that report to your credit as a credit card.
Right.
So what I'm telling you is that you can get one of these debit cards and have a history of having a credit card with that debit card. So what I'm telling you is, especially today, it's so many options to build credit outside of going into debt.
What are you building credit for, though? I'm saying, like, if you come across a situation, I know people who are retiring at 40 years old by buying a house, taking the equity out of that, buying another house, taking the equity out of that. Before you know it, they sitting on $4 million. That's the way that our grandparents did it. I know you love to talk about black and white things, but black people are the only one who think like that.
I'd like to be past the house.
Yeah, and also
you take this money and you flip it.
Right, so, and also Corey Hager. Hold up, Corey Hager's made some comments. He said he hasn't had a credit card in over a decade. His second comment: personal and business account only. I have several personal accounts. I have a business account. About to start another business account. All right, Corey, we don't know your. He said, "I'll never retire. I don't want to." See, Corey Hager, that's a brilliant point with that statement there. We don't know your circumstances. If you plan on working the rest of your life, then okay, you don't need a credit card. Especially if you're an entrepreneur, which it sounds like you are.
The thing about it is, I wanna say something. We're saying that I have done it, so this is how it should be done for the masses. And that is the flaw and the logical flaw that I have a problem with. Just because I or you or any personal situation has done doesn't mean that the same people have the access to those things, right? Because this is a public policy discussion, right? Is slavery is slavery a choice when it comes to debt slavery or financial slavery? So when we're talking about the masses, we're talking about public policy. And when you're talking about public policy, one of the key things you have to evaluate is access. And do people have access to the things that keep them out of making a choice of debt? And en masse, they don't. They don't.
Let's be real. Let's be real. The people that we are talking about, most of them are having to pay cash for things anyway because they've mismanaged the debt that they have and they can't get any more credit.
And those people aren't going to make it anywhere. Let's be honest.
But that's not what we're talking. We were talking about.
We're not yet. We're just not even talking about that.
Let's be honest.
We're talking about is slavery a choice?
Yeah,
right. That's the point. That's what we're talking about.
Slavery is not a choice.
Debt slavery is a choice.
Debt slavery is not a choice.
You say poverty is a choice as well. So,
but some people can be born into
a choice.
Some people can be born into debt and poverty, though. Isn't that the truth as well?
Right. So
it's not their choice.
That's hold on again. That is a fantastic point.
Somebody give me a house. I like to get a house.
How are they
Some people are born into debt. It's born into poverty. So to say that poverty is a choice when you're born into poverty, that blows my mind. That blows my mind, because then you're saying that the children who were born to poor parents, the children chose that. Because are they not people?
That's not what we said.
No, I'm not saying that. I said how
she just said poverty is a choice. So those children chose poverty.
If you go, let us state what we mean before you respond. So when we say poverty is a choice, anyone that's at adult age, at the age of 18, have the choice to either choose to be in poverty or to go a different path. You have a choice in life. So we're not saying kids have a choice, but once you reach a certain age, you got the right to be in poverty or to work yourself out of it. It's a choice at that point.
But not you just didn't say that, brother. You just didn't say that.
And also not everybody.
I didn't say anything. So hold on.
No, you said about McDonald's. You said if a person can't afford to get an education to work at McDonald's, anybody works at McDonald's, it's they're earning slave wages. It's poverty.
Oh no,
they're stealing cheeseburgers from the back of McDonald's to survive sometimes.
What's not true?
That's the uneducation. That's the uneducated part.
Explain to me why that's not true.
You can work yourself up in McDonald's if you understand how McDonald's system works. If you work, you can go. They'll send you to some place called Hamburger University, and before you know it, you could be a manager managing 4 or 5.
See, you're moving the goalposts. When that person goes to work at McDonald's that first day, that person is in poverty.
New growth. Hold on a second. First of all, hold on. Yeah, give me a second, E-Man. First, I want to acknowledge this comment, and second, I'm going to make a statement because I think people are missing the point. Corey Hager says to be a leader, you must be a manager 100%. That is absolutely true. I agree with that 100%. And also, Corey Hager, thank you for coming and supporting the show. Positivity is definitely coming your way. Bad management removes you from leadership. Absolutely, it should. It doesn't always, because I've met some piss poor managers and piss poor leaders. I mean, good grief, and they still had those leadership positions. So it doesn't always work that way, but I do agree with your comment. I do. Second, to address all this, like I said before, E-Man, you say you go work at McDonald's. I get the point you're making, and I agree with the point you're making. However, that's a bad analogy because what McDonald's employee knows about investing anything? If they knew about investing, they wouldn't be working at McDonald's.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah. Hold on. We ain't signing, and then we're gonna have E-Man come back with us.
Okay, sure. So first, I want to make 2 comments. Number one, E-Man. So from this point on, I'm just going to respect your position, right? I understand that everything is a choice. You can pull yourself up from the bootstrap because I had these conversations who have people who have the same ideology. So I'm going to respect it and I'm going to leave it there. My second comment. So from this point on, I'm just going to make comments to the audience and to the other panel members because, I'm not going to, changing your mind is an exercise in futility. So I'm just going to leave it be. So I'm just going to say this to the audience, right? Say this. when people are saying, so when we say that, like, okay, this is to the comment about you're a bad manager and leadership and management stuff like that. On the surface, it is true, but to get to be that manager of your life, to be in a position where you have control over your life, it required foundation, and it required other people to help you to get there, right? Even when you look at the most successful people in the world, they have always given credit to someone else to help them to build the building blocks to be successful, to be a guru. And if you're coming from a working class family, let's say working class to middle class, right? The average. To get that, you're going to acquire some sort of debt. And I'll just leave it at that.
Right. Okay. Now, a solution to this whole thing. As you guys know, this is a solutions-based show. And when it comes to slavery, okay, in particular, the slavery of incarceration. Well, slavery in itself is incarceration. You know what I'm saying? And you look at the prison system, we have incarcerated Negroes, slaves, if you will.
Chain gangs.
Okay, yeah, chain gangs and the whole nine, all that's still in full effect. All right. But really, 2 cents an hour to work in the field? Really? I mean, what do we do about this, people? Like, how do you fix this? We need ideas. We need ideas now on how to fix it. We know that this is a problem. We all know that this exists. We all agree with E-Man that there is economic slavery. He says it's possible to have a very successful life without accumulating any debt.
You leaving, Genesis?
Yes.
No. We went the solutions part, Genesis. You can't leave now.
I gotta go. I have to catch it.
She got a date.
Oh, you got a date. Yeah, that's what it is. That's why she's all dolled up. Look at her.
I was on another show before this.
It's like 10. Man, it's like 12 o'clock.
Let me, Genesis. That's messed up. All right. See you later. All right. Now I think, we need ideas on how to fix this, people. It's gonna be a big one because you have to fix the entire criminal justice system of the continental United States. So, ideas. Marcus, give us an idea to fix something.
Yeah, well,
doesn't have to be the whole thing, just one part of it.
I mean, some people say it's a choice, so I guess it's a choice.
Not always. Tommy B came up here. Tommy B came up here and hit a home run.
I mean, honestly, like what Tommy said, the whole judicial system, people who we vote into power. Hopefully, those regulations can be changed. Policies can be changed. That private prisons. Well, I think that maybe private prisons should be illegal. I think they should be abolished because, for example, there was one of the towns, a documentary on Amazon about a brother his brother passed away from drug addiction. But that town that went belly up because there's no more oil to be pumped. There were jobs people couldn't pay for food, they couldn't pay for bills, they didn't have jobs to. What they did is they made a private prison. They started just making crimes, passing bills, putting people to the prison. Texas likes to throw the book at people in jail and lock them up.
Yeah, they do.
And that was an issue. And before you knew it, that city started accumulating revenue just because they started filling up the prisons and getting slave labor and building construction workers, etc., using through the slave labor of prisoners. I think that's something that should be abolished. Bob Barker owns like 6 or 7 private of them. I don't know if he built them or if he already purchased them as already built, but that's how people get rich and stay rich. They buy these private prisons.
Yeah. Listen, but he's on The Price is Right, so he gets to do that. He's Bob Barker, okay?
Yeah, right.
You leave Bob Barker alone. He donates to PETA and that show where those guys with the boats are saving the whales.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess that's a choice. Yeah.
You're right. That's a choice. You leave Bob Barker alone. 10-man Unfiltered.
No. Still alive?
Yeah.
Wow.
Bob Barker's an immortal.
Wow.
Quit tripping. All right, everyone. I'm gonna have to. I'm pressed for time here, so I got to give everybody like 1 minute for a solution. New growth.
Well, you know me,
Shoot from the hip, man.
I'm a history man, so once we know how the system is set up, we know it ain't no easy solutions. We know it ain't just okay if we do this, we can do that.
No, there's
we
no
know
one solution. There's a whole lot of them.
So we know we have to kind of start at the top. It was a saying called "chop the head and the body will fall."
Mm-hmm.
So right now we're trying to worry about a scraped elbow or missing foot. It's really not going to fix it unless we know where these laws and things are coming from. Like I think they said it takes like $50,000 to
they're coming from the Democrats.
Maybe you're right. I have no alliance, but they said it takes like $50,000 to house an inmate per year. So it's like
$80,000.
$80,000 now. Wow.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you go to McDonald's and you make like 26. So we got to understand what's going on here. But I'm in the bowl. I'm listening to solutions tonight. So
yeah, can I give my solution?
All right, yeah. We ain't son. I was coming right to you next, man. Right. I think Tommy B might be asleep or he's wrestling with his son or something.
All right. Well, the thing is this, and I'll be really quick. 1 minute. When we talk about the U.S. and capitalism, debt capitalism, and slavery, this is embedded into the foundation of who America is, right? If the only solution for this is to really just move on, right? Places like Singapore, places like the UAE or East Africa, right? Because you got the tax system on your neck, you got the debt system on your neck, you got the prison pipeline situation for your children if you have escaped it, right? Like this is deeply rooted in America. So there is no, that's why it's systems, right? So it can perpetuate beyond when I die or whoever, or my children die, et cetera, right?
On autopilot.
So for something like this, you have to decide to look for greener pastures elsewhere. Like you can guys check on this right now, right? There has been an explosion of senior citizens who desire to retire and die outside of the U.S. Panama is a hot destination for senior
Philippines
citizens.
is another.
More than ever, you have more Americans deciding to give up their U.S. Passports for passports like Singapore, et cetera, right? So when we're talking about to get out of this kind of system, this is literally you have to move on because this is deeply embedded. This you can't get rid of this. And I'll close with that. That's why I left the U.S. and now in 2 different countries.
Gotcha. You know what? That's something I've thought about quite a few times when it comes to some of these issues I've been outlined for the next few months of the things I want to cover. I'm like, yeah. Well, I might just have to leave, dude. This is too much.
The reason why is because when we're talking about black men, especially, black men are held as a second-class citizen to all other groups of people. Even when we talk about the bottom of the bottom, we are still second class to that, right? And I personally don't see a solution to that other than looking for greener pastures elsewhere where you can get respected. Because when you really analyze the problem, black men in America, as opposed to other places, are generally treated as a second-class citizen everywhere, even amongst ourselves. We treat each other like second-class citizens as well.
That's true. All right. We ain't signing. Spitting hot fire. Hey, listen. Unfortunately, I got to come behind him. But before me, Black David. You gotta go. You gotta follow that, man. I don't know how you're gonna do it.
Let me say something.
I'll just make it simple. To overcome this issue, like you said, it's totally correct. You gotta look outside of the nation because besides Singapore, beside all these Eastern nations, there's Ghana, there's Kenya. Right now, I just found out recently they're building a African Silicon Valley in Nigeria as we speak. A lot of people don't know about that. There'll be more than 300 African American businessmen and women invested in Africa for over a decade. There's a bunch of real estate going on all across Ghana, Kenya, and many other African nations.
Emotional, damn it!
I ain't got no emotional damage, so as we were saying.
Right.
So I'll be honest with you guys. you have to look outside of the forward or the US. There's way more going on where you can invest your money and get so much back in return. The problem is people too stuck think that the better place to get it. No, it's not. We got a lot of immigrants come out here, go to school, make their money here, so they can build capital to make their business more international, and because they know there's so much more out than just the U.S. alone. If you have not been around the world, then you're missing a whole lot out there. I'm trying to make sure I can have enough capital to buy a couple of properties in Africa and rent it out, so I can make my money and make another generational wealth for my family. Think about that.
Gotcha. Black David. Another one, mic drop. All right, Corey Haga. I want to bring this attention. His Corey Haga has a suggestion. My idea: every politician must have military background. I agree wholeheartedly. I agree. If you have the power to vote to send men and women on the battlefield, you must first have experience in military. Yeah,
Agreed.
You don't have to go to war. I mean, maybe you went to war, maybe you didn't,
part.
but you must have militaries. I agree with him wholeheartedly. Another one, he says, start at the top. Okay. Also, Corey Hagan says the prison system is a business. If there are no inmates, the prisons will go broke. Just a money game, and the little man will suffer.
That's my point. I was trying to make that
point. Yeah, you're right. And I'm gonna address that sometime. I'm gonna address that when I give my closing statement and my solution. All right. Now, my special co-host for this week, and again, E-Man, thank you very much for joining me tonight. You've been a really good sport, and you've been an outstanding co-host. Much to everybody's surprise. Yeah, you really had it. Much to everyone's surprise, except mine. I mean, I knew you'd be all right. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, yeah.
Well, the first thing I'm gonna say is thank you for having me on your network on Wednesday. I actually had fun today. It definitely was an experience. I hear a lot of people trying to point the finger out. Hey, somebody else need to fix the problem, and I think we need to start looking in the mirror and changing it ourselves. And the reason that I say that is really simple: is we should look into the mirror and say, how can I not be a slave financially? Or how can I remove this debt that's over my life? Because just because you're in debt today doesn't mean that you have to be in debt for the rest of your life. And the second thing, when it comes down to prison, I think it's really hard for us to change what's currently going on. But what we need to do is we need to put an environment around our kids so that they will not be in that system. And I think that's something that is taught. And if we create these environments, we can keep our kids away from slavery. So when we have this conversation, when someone, when Mandrell Jr., you know, the third is having his YouTube show on YouTube, and he can say, you know what, this is not the same case. It starts with our kids. And once we start putting those factors into them, we can change everything else because we are the one voting for these politicians.
All right. I mean, I heard that. Now, me, I do agree with some of that. Now, what you said tonight about what you said about tonight about having going through life without incurring debt. I think that should be taught as an option. You know what I'm saying? I think it should be taught as an option and explain to the kid how you do it and explain to them that, hey, listen, it's possible that you make a good life with yourself without incurring debt. That's going to be a much longer and much harder trek to life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying don't, it's just, hey, listen, throw it out the window. I'm saying, like, yeah, make that an option. Let them know it's out there, but really get your money, get your coins while you can. Get as much as you can while you can, as fast as you can, and keep accumulating as much as you can. Because the way this country's going, I mean, like, no kidding. I'm actually kind of taken back that we ain't signed and brought it up tonight. I've thought about that several times because I do have plans, like topics for the show. You know what I'm saying? And the show is completely unscripted, you know. And all I have is like bullet points of things I want to point out. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, Jesus, I'm gonna have to pack my shit and leave, man, because it's too much.
But what we do know is most of these people on these YouTube streets are at least making average income because they got internet, right? what I'm saying is, what if you put up, 10% of your income, and when your kids got a college aid at 21, we gave that to them for them to start with. I'm saying we have to make the difference where our kids have an option not to go into debt. And that comes with our decisions that we make today.
True. I agree with that. My solution for the night. By the way, hang out for me. I got something for you backstage, okay?
Yes, sir.
My solution to it. First of all, private prisons have to go. Number one. You know what I'm saying? Private prisons have to go. I mean, some things should not be for sale. One is incarceration. Second is healthcare. You can't make that can't be for profit. Education either. I believe all knowledge should be free and readily available for whoever wants it, right? But these prisons, no, you're dealing with people's lives, and you have to do this in a humane way. I'm not saying roll out the red carpet for inmates. I'm not saying that, but you have to treat human beings like human beings. They're still people, and like Tommy B pointed out tonight, some really good points. It ain't always your fault. I could just be seen with you right now. I don't know. You could have did something like a week ago, and then they see us on live, and then the cops come ask me, "Hey, we saw you with him. Come with us." And next thing you know, I'm getting arrested for some stuff you did as an accomplice. And so and there's a lot more of that than people realize or care to acknowledge. A lot more of that. I mean, it's insane and sick to a point. So that's for me, number one, get rid of the private prisons. They have to go and then people are like, well, prisons will go out of business. What are you going to do? Well, our tax dollars are paying for those private prisons anyway. We're paying for both the public and the private prisons. We're paying for with tax dollars. So what's the difference? And I think that a federal agency should be in charge of inspection and governing the prisons to make sure that quality control is there. These inmates aren't sleeping with rats and insects everywhere. Make sure the warden is actually doing his job as far as keeping the place clean and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the solution. No one get rid of the private prisons. That way you won't have judges selling inmates to prisons. That's not the only judge that did that either. He's just the first to get caught. It's reprehensible and disgusting, man. I mean, that guy should be in jail for life. Think how many lives he stole. See stuff like that. The stuff like that really gets my blood boiling. It makes me just hold my head down, man, and shaking like, was it worth it? Everything that I did, you know what I'm saying, in the military, was it worth it? Really? This is what it was all about? I mean, yeah, but yeah, that's it, man. That's it for me. That's my solution. Get rid of private prisons, government oversight. I'm not a big fan of government having their hands in everything, but you have no choice in this matter because people won't do right, and they've proven it. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out and supporting the show. You will see ETheManWilliams on this co-host with me again, guaranteed that. I actually really enjoyed it. I had fun with him. Man, I really did enjoy you tonight.
I enjoyed you too. I'm curious to see when we on here something we disagree about. I think we might need a mediator because I'll be.
Well, I mean, we disagreed about some point. Like I told you, dude, big picture stuff, we don't disagree. It's when we get into the nuance and the minutia, you know what I'm saying? That's when we start disagreeing. But other than that, I mean, as far as fixing the problem and acknowledging this problem,
I believe a lot more single men need to start looking for baby mamas, but that's a whole nother subject.
That's something we disagree with. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Come back next week. I have a very special show. I'm going to have a very special show coming up. It might be next week, probably in a couple of weeks. I'm going to have an extremely special guest that night. It's going to be about Black people in show business. Black people trying to make it in show business and some of the ins and outs of what goes on behind the scenes in show business.
Go Willie.
So,
Willie.
It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be live. I got an inside agent coming on the show to give us the inside track on it. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out. See you next week.